Welcome to Garbage Game Night, the podcast where we experts are called in to little-traveled and misunderstood games. These games are quirky, they're hiding secrets, but most of all, they make no sense at all. We're gearing up for the spooky season, so this game may give you a fright. My name is Chris, and I'll be your guide. With me are some special agents that I have to introduce. First, Frank. How are you doing tonight, Frank?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Chris?
Oh, I'm very well, and we had some pre-episode disagreement, so you were at -1, but I'll go ahead and bump you up there to a solid 0, commanding lead with 0.
Right. Fuck yeah!
I'm doing well, though. Thank you. This was a game to research. I wanted to make a big one for 50, and it's a big one.
The big 5-0.
Yeah, it's not like a commemorative, like a looking back on our last 50 episodes. Nothing like that. We'll probably do a special episode like that on episode 71 or something. Something a little more.
Have like that song, like
Well, that's stop doing that. Copyright. But I'm doing well, thanks, Frank, and I'm looking forward to whatever this episode brings. We will see. Tom, Special Agent Tom, Terrifying Tom, how are you this evening?
Terrifying Tom. Oh man.
Frightful Frank and Terrifying Tom, like Simpsons do on their holiday specials.
Me. What is it?
Okay. By calling you Terrifying
Terminal Thomas.
Terminal Thomas. That
Terminal
was your
Thomas.
prize from Frank on the fingered game. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's not as bad as it sounds.
Yeah. It's not. It had nothing to do with the game, really. It's just accusing people of murder.
And killing them.
Yeah, no, things are good. In order to get into the spooky, scary mood, I was just watching Midnight Mass on Netflix, and I don't know whether or not or yet to recommend it. It is an extremely slow build, but we learned as a result of it a really great site. Does the Dog Die? Have you ever heard of that site?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. It's a great site to utilize if your wife...
If you want to know, does the dog die?
If you're worried about a dog in a film.
If your wife doesn't like it when animals die, then don't watch Midnight Mass.
Just do a quick little check
where
in
an
there.
island full of cats is murdered and drowns. And then a beautiful dog dies from being poisoned graphically. So... Don't watch that. I'm just going to help everyone out there. Mini spoilers. If you don't like watching animals die, if your wife isn't a big fan of watching that. So I said to her afterwards, I was like, there has to be some sort of like site just given the world.
I wish there was a website.
Right. And I knew just like
is that the sponsor
the
for
way
tonight?
the world works, that like if I just said that, someone will have done it. And
tonight's podcast is sponsored by Does the Dog Die?
Oh yeah, and hey, you know what? Great site. We watched a movie last night, and Grace hopped on the phone and was like, "We're good to go." So little plug there for Does the Dog Die?
Well, it's just that I just did a search for Am I Legend, and they don't have it in there. So
it's because I
think
am
that
Legend.
I am Legend.
Am I Legend? Am I Legend?
Am I a legend?
Am I a legend?
In the B-movie spin-off of I Am Legend, the dog does not die.
I'm sorry for doubting our sponsor for a second there. No, it is there, and it is fully fleshed out and realized.
And it says,
check out doesthedogdie.com.
Yes, yeah,
it does say. No spoilers. It just came out. Can't spoil a movie that came out 15 years ago. All right, great. And Victor, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing so good. No dogs dying in my world just yet, but the night is young. And if you want to find out,
you have no idea what this game will hold for you. So,
I'm checking the site right now. And
as soon as I announce it, you'll be on
50,
there.
Does the dog die?
Does the dog die? I think so.
Stay tuned. Well, before we get into the game this evening, the last game that we played was Bionic Commando. Funny thing happened. We talked about our impressions for the game. We forgot to actually give it a score. So real quick, on our Garbage Valley score system, or our Garbage Valley scale, what score would you give that game? -10? Being... That's not the right time, Victor.
I'm still getting used to it. I'm gonna get it.
Negative 10 to positive 10, 0 being a complete waste of your time. So 10's a perfect game, negative 10's a game that's so bad it's good. I'll start off, I'd give it a 4, positive 4. It had like a legitimately strong blockbuster ending, but the rest of the game was kind of mediocre and not bad enough to enjoy it that way. But what'd you guys think?
Wait, what'd
Tom,
you
who
give
played
it?
Nope. Sorry.
Positive
hot
4.
mic. Sorry. Sorry.
I honestly agree. I was gonna say, is it a bad game? No, it's a good game, but it doesn't hit what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be hitting, and I think 4 is fair. 4. I agree.
All right.
What did I say in that recording I sent to you?
I didn't listen to it because I knew I wasn't going to use it.
You didn't listen to it? Oh,
I didn't get to listen to it.
Chris,
No.
Chris.
Okay, the crunch
Right,
between
didn't
recording
use
an
it.
episode and publishing it, it's tight, Frank.
Chris, it was so good. All right.
Was it? You don't even
I-
remember what you said, Frank.
I know. Well, I'm saying
Yeah.
because I said a lot. Like I gave you bits to use. I did multiple interactions with everybody, so you could like however they scored it. You could have totally. You could have made a whole narrative out of what I sent you. You
It's
son
funny
of a
just because
gun.
you said like, oh well, I'll send you something, and you did, and I didn't ask anyone else to do
Yeah.
it.
Well,
It's true.
you know. Hey, sometimes you dream big.
You're playing it back to listen to it. Nobody listened to it, Frank. You could be something completely different, and they
Yeah, you
wouldn't
can
know.
say whatever you wanted. You can. Well, while he's doing that, because
Yeah,
Dead
Victor,
Air
what
is
you
a
got?
killer of dogs, I'm gonna say, I think that my idea for the game where you have 2 players,
Yes.
like one controls the arm or whatever bionetic, maybe you add on throughout the game, maybe you lose another arm or another leg, and then you can add a controller, kind of like the old school arcades, where you can just
Sure.
like tag in. Since I think that's a fun idea, I'm going to give this game a higher score of what it could have been. What it actually is not great, but I'm going to say 7 for the possibilities.
7 for the possibilities. Okay.
No, that's still
It's like
not right.
the newest Mario. The second player can control the hat. That's what you want out of it.
Yeah, that sounds
And
awful.
you wanted Chris Pratt to voice Bionic Commando. I got you. Yep.
He would.
Of course.
Yeah, actually, that would be good casting.
Yeah, it would
That would be
lighten up
fine,
the game
actually,
a
yeah.
lot. Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun, especially if he was like, why can't I, if he made a game out of it, like, why can't I grip anything? And then he discovers he did get a divorce, so that's rough. Like, if it's, which wife is it that is controlling his arm? This is too real now. Doesn't make,
I'm
sorry.
serious.
He's married to Schwarzenegger, so he's all right.
Arnold?
Well,
Yep.
was one of his daughters.
Well, not to Arnold himself.
Okay. Did you get your score yet, Frank?
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, and I stick by it. I also said 4. I
Okay.
originally was going to give it a 3, but
all that to agree with me and Tom.
But the ending, was it was epic enough. Still pretty low, but decent enough.
Okay. Very good. Beep 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 beep. We got new YouTube videos out due to my new editing format, which last episode might have sounded a little bit different. I'm releasing the video episodes probably within a week of us recording these. So edited YouTube videos going up, and I think I've hit a stride with editing some of our old ones, although the way we recorded them taking a little bit longer to edit as usual. But Daikatana is going to be released next week as well. So check out some new YouTube videos rolling out. So I didn't assign any homework this week, but I did ask all of you separately if you were familiar with a 1990s series called Twin Peaks. Frank, in typical Frank fashion, asked if he should watch as much of it as possible. I told Frank, please don't do that, Frank. You didn't do that, Frank, did you?
I honestly tried, but I only finished the pilot because I was too busy at work today.
That's
And I
shocking
thought I
that
had
you
more,
did that
like,
still,
break
'cause it's
time.
still like an hour, isn't it?
It's like an hour and a half. Yeah,
Good grief.
I watched it at double speed, but it was also one of those things like, I was just busy doing other stuff. I
Frank
really meant to watch more.
consumes media so quickly
Yeah.
that
Well, it's just 'cause
one-time
everything-
speed is not enough for him.
Everything's so slow to me now. It's just like
Especially that in the 90s. David
oh,
Lynch
God,
in the 90s was very slow.
David Lynch in general. He's a very interesting guy. I love him. I love his energy, but I really have yet to really 100% enjoy anything he's ever made.
Yeah.
I appreciate it for what it is, but it's just like, I don't know. So, but anyway, yeah, I watched the pilot.
All right, that's fine. And Victor, when I asked you, you'd seen a few episodes, you know the vibe of the show.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. It was a while back that I watched it, but yeah, I
Yeah.
know I get the vibe for
Okay.
sure. I got
And
to a certain
Tom,
point.
did you get a chance, or you've heard of it before? Are you kind of familiar with?
I've heard of it before, and I repeated the title to myself multiple times, and I think I maybe kind of like welcomed it.
You're in the headspace of it.
Real quick, Tom. That's not the place that has the ice cold beer. That's not what we're talking about.
It's not the Hooters
And
competitor.
the ladies with the belly shirts and the short skirts.
They're referencing a double entendre with a different kind of Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's what
I'm
they're
in the wrong headspace then.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, the owner, I think he really did like the show, but that was
He must have.
it was the restaurant took a turn.
Yeah, the only reason I actually ask, and it's fine that you guys have, it's good that you guys have different levels of seeing it. The game we're playing tonight, it taps into that. Some people say it's borderline copyright infringement. I don't think it's that bad, but so you guys are familiar with the atmosphere and what maybe this game's going for. The game we're playing this evening, it is a spooky game. I struggle to define what it is exactly. We're playing a game called Deadly Premonition. It is a release in 2010.
Ooh.
Has anyone ever heard of Deadly Premonition?
No.
Maybe you saw it at a store before. It just looks like, honestly, you're very run-at-the-mill, like, oh, it's a horror game. That's a video game. Maybe Silent Hill, that kind of thing. And it's a really vague title. So we're playing a PC version of this game called Deadly Premonition Director's Cut. It was actually released 3 years later for the PC. I have a lot of information regarding this game, but we're going to jump into it as soon as we can because it is cutscene heavy at the beginning, and I'll try to narrate it, and you guys can feel free to discuss as it's happening. It stars Francis York Morgan, or just call him York. Everybody does. So yeah, York is our main character, who is has some parallels to Twin Peaks, let's just say. And while he's starting this up, I can tell you this game originated from a project called Rain. Excuse me?
Sorry, wrong headspace.
Oh, got it.
My bad.
I thought I left like a screen share thing up from Google Image Search that was giving you the really wrong impression. Twin Peaks, I got it. Yeah, this game originated from a project called Rainy Woods, a game that Access Games began working on back in 2004. They had a trailer debut in 2007 promoting it on the PS2 and 360 during the Tokyo Game Show. So it was originally started working on 2004. A video of it debuted in 2007. Some journalists noted it had a lot of similarities with the show Twin Peaks, but despite generating some buzz, it was canceled because of hardware issues. Seemingly, they couldn't get like their vision to work on the hardware limitations, the systems of the day. So a year later, the director Hidetake Suhiro started working on, this is a Japanese development company, started working on Deadly Premonition, which would use the assets from Deadly Rain and put it in a new scenario, new game design, which sounds like a new game to me. But so they took the original premise and put it in a new game. It faced cancellation 4 times, and while it was technically in development, they barely allocated any budget to it, and Hidetake, with some help from friends in the US, developed the new lead character and the dialogue. So it was originally released on the 360 in 2010. It was also released in Japan, Europe, and they didn't bother releasing in Australia due to classification concerns. But the director's cut version, which we're playing tonight, was published on the PS3 in 2013 and the PC. There's actually even a collector's edition with artwork and themed collectibles and an interactive guide on the iPad. So it has had some demand.
Does it have like a Asian horror film vibe?
It does. There's, I think, a distinct feel that like Silent Hill and those kinds of games have, and this does tap into some of that, which I think we'll kind of recognize immediately. Well, while we're waiting for this to download, I guess I did want to address, probably Frank has heard some about it. I don't know if he has his headphones plugged in. He's running a cable right now. There is a new leader on the... sort of accusations. There is a new leader on the worst scored game on Steam now.
Oh, a new leader is in like the game just came out?
The game just came out, and it is the worst rated game on Steam in their history.
Battlefield, right? Didn't Battlefield just came out and get bad reviews?
Although I could say a lot about that. The beta for it was out, so there's no reviews for Battlefield 2042 out. No, the worst reviewed game, beating out Flat Out 3, Chaos and Destruction, which is a game that we featured here on Garbage Game Night, is Konami's own. Konami without Kojima, and using the same engine, actually, that Metal Gear Survive did, shockingly. They released a game called eFootball 2022. It has some of the worst graphics, and AI and football fans are dogpiling it. So yeah, it is the worst reviewed game on Steam at the moment.
Whoa. Sorry. You said
It's a dog sound effect.
Yeah.
Victor's working the soundboard, I guess.
I'm trying.
So,
I'm really. I didn't want this, but it came to me.
sometimes responsibility falls on you.
So what?
Greatness comes to you. You don't seek it. First intro cutscene of the game. We've got two twins venturing through the woods with the most stereotypical looking like big farmer grandpa you can imagine. They found a ladybug. We've got some low quality sound design in the background with the kids just giggling.
It's dangerous to run around here, boys.
Grandpa, hurry! Hurry up! Grandpa, you're too slow.
Shots fired.
And he's just chuckling to himself. 'Cause that's what a good life is like. It's just wandering your fields and laughing with your grandchildren.
Even though that really didn't look like farmland.
Yeah, it's a forest. All right.
Oh God, what did they see?
Graphic warning at the moment.
I feel like
This game is fairly graphic, but what we're about to see is about the peak of it.
Is it
The kids have wandered into the forest and they're looking up at something. Oh
Oh,
God.
you guys found my people mountain.
There's twins.
I haven't
You're
got a
right.
single point. They're two kids.
That's
Twin
pretty
Peaks
good.
reference?
That's pretty good.
Good God.
And twins. They don't make a sound effect
Do
for that.
better
Good point.
than that. 0.5. You know what? Effectively, that's 1 no. Because I mean,
All right, so the camera is panning
on the
over
board?
a tree
Oh.
with a lady in a somewhat
Dead naked lady in a
crucifix
tree.
position on the tree. She's got smeared eyeliner. There's like thorny vines wrapped around her arms. Her hair is covering her bosom.
Oh.
There it is.
And she
Grosso.
has,
It zooms out,
gutted.
and she is slit down the center, and there's but she's hanging there, and she's dead, and the kids who are 5, I want to say, are staring up at her while we've got this anime music playing in the background.
What do you think did it, Tom?
he's
Victor,
just been
no.
looking down this whole time.
Yeah, he hasn't looked up yet. Oh, Grandpa sees.
They all just had this expression like, well, this is depressing.
Like, what are we going to do? And they didn't take the kids away. The kids are just sitting over by a log looking at a ladybug.
Come on.
As the
did
overseer
the
of
kids do
someone
it?
about that age, I can tell you that they're like more aware of these things than that.
Yeah, they'd be horrified.
Yeah.
Or did
The
they do
ladybug
it?
flies away, and it kind of pans over the town.
That sounded like a trumpet farting. Why is she holding it so high?
We are going through a montage of a few characters that are looking at different items, mourning
Why are they
the
all
loss
holding
of
it like
Anna.
that?
It's like the Wolverine meme looking at the picture, but they're holding different items, just crying.
It's like they don't know how eyes work. Like, you could look at that anywhere. You have to hold it up to your fucking
And new
head.
glasses, Tom.
And there's this fellow in a bar
It
crying.
looks like he's
Okay,
the
that's a rip off
bartender.
of Twin Peaks.
Yeah, he's standing behind the bar, standing in front of someone seated at the bar who seems like nonchalant about all
Look
this.
at her neck. She is a fighter. She's definitely in like MMA or something.
We're still doing a title credits.
Her neck's like a tree
Directed by
trunk.
Sweary, which is a name that'll come up later.
Sweary.
Can we just say that the
So Deadly
music
Premonition director's cut.
has been all over the place?
What do you guys think of? So right now we have this. It's kind of a nice traveling jingle, right? It's like this distant acoustic guitar with some la la la's.
Yeah, but
in
there
it.
was like this
But then for the
Asian,
morning
like-
track, there was that
Yeah.
jazz with a distant horn with random notes. Yeah,
And like
you'll hear those tones
And there was an anime like portion when she was up in the tree.
when she was dead. Yeah, yeah. All right, Frank, let's hit it.
Ugh.
Oh, that wasn't you, Victor? I thought that was the soundboard on your phone.
No.
There's a little girl in a dark hallway humming Amazing
Grace.
Grace
Butchering it.
while that jazz trumpet is happening in the background still.
From.
The discordant trumpet.
Yeah.
I want to hear another story.
Yes, of course. You've been waiting a long
So we don't know what's
time
happening
for
right
this.
now.
Chris, you could
A
do
little
his
girl
voice.
walked into a room with.
You could do this voice.
It reminds me of Father Mother, like the pacing of his voice. The
very nasty, but somewhat nostalgic. Do you think you can be a good girl and listen all the
my
way
God.
to the end?
Is it a scary
It's very
story?
creepy what's happening. The little girl that came in and asking for a story from a grandfather. We can't see the face. We don't actually know it's a grandfather yet. I'll put you at ease. It is. It's not just some rando.
If you don't want to hear it, I can tell you a
And he's going to tell her a story.
No, I want to hear it. This way, I won't be scared.
Will you
You
turn
might be
on
more
the
scared.
TV then?
So to tell the story, we're going to turn the TV on.
Why do you need TV on to tell your story?
That's not how you tell stories? Every time I tell a
Like,
story,
hey,
I
small
turn on the
child,
radio and
turn
the
on
TV.
a distraction before I start.
Gather round for a story. And make sure you turn the TV on.
Stay a while.
Listen, we must purge things from this
So he just said,
world.
at times we must purge things from this world because they should not exist.
Even if
It's a refrain in this game.
someone that you love.
Okay, we're in a different scene now. With 3 new characters, seemingly. There's a character with black hair, which
It's like-
we will soon learn is our main
Are
character.
those like supposed to be the
And
same
there
twins?
are-
Those are the boys.
Seemingly the 2 twins, but they have like angel wings and halos.
It's bizarre that the game
Frank now
starts
has control.
here, as in like you're familiar with this, right?
Zach, can you hear me?
So far, you guys have a good handle on what's happening?
Oh, no.
Zach, don't be surprised. The crime took place out in the country this time. Let's take it slow.
So there's
Okay, Zach?
a voice talking to
This
Zach.
time, implying that there's been like a series of killings.
Yes. Well, if they're referencing what we saw in the beginning, yeah. All right,
That's
so
one way of looking at it.
shot of a car driving in the rain,
Totally
sports
wrong.
car driving in the rain. Talking on the phone, smoking.
Oh my god, is this the real music?
This is the real music.
Listen, they both
Heavy jazz
need-
music
I
came
like
in
it.
to introduce the
Both
character,
need
like pause on the character.
And they both know it. Yeah, I know. He does
He's
terrible
also
things to Tom.
browsing on his
Nasty,
laptop
even
some
sadistic.
horrific
Oh my
crime
But
photos.
that's fine, as long as that's what Tom wants. Think of it. His actions. He's always asking for it. It's
Yeah,
your partner's
Tom.
job to fulfill
I'm always
that
asking
need.
for it.
And Jerry... Proof? Well, in the Tom and Jerry show, they live with each other. Hello? Hello?
Was he
about the cartoon.
explaining
He's talking
Tom
about
and
the
Jerry, or was
cartoon.
that an analogy?
No, he was talking about Tom and Jerry, that they live in a masochistic relationship. Also, his laptop just had a pop-up that said net space work error.
Another town in the boondocks.
All right, he has held up a...
Could he be any more
He's off
distracted?
the phone. He has held up some seeds or something in a little pouch. He said, like, it's taking us out to the countryside this time. Right, Zach? And he's seemingly talking to himself.
Case really was something.
Not even wearing his seatbelt.
He's not wearing his seatbelt. Good catch. Point, Victor.
Very unsafe, man. He's trying to kick the habit.
Oh, he sees something in the road. Looks like a
Yeah, no
something,
shit,
a
you
guy
crashed.
in red. And he spun off the
It's
road.
the,
He's driving
Hit
through
the
the forest.
brakes!
Yeah, it seems like he's accelerating.
No, Tom, you.
No!
everyone
They have
knows.
to.
A couple squirrels.
squirrels.
Does
They made monkey
thesquirrelguy.com?
noises?
No, they got out of the way.
You got to speed up to slow down.
Yeah, Tom.
That's how you gain control. That's
Have you
right.
never driven off the road before?
His car has flipped,
I
in
guess
the
not.
rain.
I have.
avoiding a guy in red in the road. So he pushes open the door. He crawls out. His laptop and his phone are there. Oh boy. He seems pretty good. He's still got the cigarette in his mouth though.
Wow.
Never
Not
drop a
even
ciggy.
bent.
Laptop still on the ground.
It lights the
Flicks the
first
lighter
time.
Oh, you found a steel pipe on the ground, so you can send it to your toolbox or pick it up. And it's straight out of Resident Evil. You pick up an item, and it does like a 3D spin around of the item. Spacebar. Not the most intuitive system.
It depends on what you're into it to. Am I right? Into intuitive and into.
Wow. If you give him a point for that, I swear to God, I'm leaving.
Intuitive.
You found a floating medal on the ground, and you got Agent Honor for doing that, which the FBI will pay you $30 for. That is right. Every time you do actions in this game, like take out the steel pipe, Frank. There's a sound. We're hearing a sound. Looking down the path. Suspicious. What is it? We're going to start profiling. Pressing the E. All right, profiling starting. We're flashing through a bunch of static. He's using his FBI. He's using his FBI
Looks
intuition.
Like welcomed.
And he apparently didn't
Zach,
see anything,
I'll let you
but it
handle the
says
meet and greet.
he's being welcomed.
Zach, I'll let you handle the meet and greet. So he's full on crazy.
So you're seeing the start menu right now, which is interesting.
Pause screen, which is fucking weird.
The pause screen, yeah. The pause screen is it's something. You're in that same purgatory space, and there's a few random items in there, like a hearth, and there's a TV that shows food meter and sleep with a deer. Oh, the deer's moving around. Yeah, the deer. What do you call that? A trophy mount deer. Yeah.
Seems like they really bucked the trend there, huh?
Hey, look, we get to kill the dog.
Oh no, I forgot there was a dog here. There's a dog with like ribs exposed, but you don't kill him here.
If only there were a sight. Could have told us.
Uh-oh. What was that? We saw some legs?
Oh, better get Zach out here.
Down the path, but they're gone. So this game does feel very much like a Resident Evil game as far as picking items up. It takes you to an item display screen. You can walk around to interactables, observe them, and then take them. There's also a global storage box that you can access from everywhere. Frank has just walked up to a little shed that looked like a person injured walking into it. They're kind of limping.
Or a zombie.
Frank just ran right into that room, kind of all discretion abandoned. He found a can of pickles, though. He picked it up, and the musical accompanying said, dun dun.
It's easy to
So
control.
Frank's going to press the turn on generator button, and a big green light comes on. Look at that.
One hell of a generator. Oh, okay. It's actually like an entire
shed.
Pretty big facility
Looks
out
like
there.
a Jurassic Park shed,
Yeah.
or a Jurassic Park enclosure that the green light just flipped on.
Yep. That's exactly.
Uh-oh. There's someone in the room with you. They look like the Z word, but she's looking the other direction. Her fingertips are bloodied. Zelda.
Zamboni driver.
Yeah.
A zoologist?
A zucchini.
Zambian
Oh, and she's the kind of zombie that bends backwards and looks at you upside down. She's also got hollowed out eyes and the glass glow grin. You've got your gun out. Oh, and you've got a picture for your profiling that says Mysterious Shadow.
I would not in a million years describe that as a mysterious shadow.
Save that for the scrapbook.
No.
Hold up. Right now, that's just a woman with back problems.
I mean, she also has no eyes and
other problems.
Her mouth has been cut open, so, I mean,
I would lead
what kind
with,
of quality
ma'am,
of life
are
is
you
that, really?
okay?
No, instead you shot them. Oh, there's another one outside. Once you shoot them in the head, they sort of like stand straight up and assess their damage and then fall over and melt into a foggy,
is there a
purple
red
mist.
barrier there? What is that?
There is a red barrier. It's a red wall. It's a red digital wall, but he calls it fog, and you can't go any further that way. And you are getting money from the FBI for each one of these zombies that you shoot.
Okay, we just Venmo'd you $30 more for that one.
For shooting that zombie in the head.
What was that? Three civilians with back problems? Nice work.
Usually it's also passive aggressive.
Oh, he
seems pretty chill about all
on his face from an arrest, from the cat lady arrest. How is that not a direct attack?
Well, he seems pretty chill about these zombie things. I don't know whether it's something he's encountered before. You found a lollipop on the ground, no questions asked. You can eat it.
He's never been attacked directly.
So Frank at the moment is enjoying some typical kind of third-person camera-controlled movements. When I say enjoying, because that is an improvement on the original. The non-director's cut version of this game used what is known as tank controls. So like in the original Alone in the Dark, you press left to pivot your character left, you use right to pivot them right, and then use a button or the up button to walk forward, like as if you are a tank.
Oh no!
This version, thankfully, was updated so that it's more what you would expect of panning a camera around and pressing WASD to move around. Well, you may be like hesitant to use the gun too, because like the gun, oh man, it's a gun, it's got bullets. I'll go ahead and tell you now, the gun does have unlimited ammo. Oh, you used up your steel pipe, so back to your reserve weapon, a 9mm handgun. And since actually we have enough information to reveal the prize this evening, we can talk about the prize that you guys are competing for. Later on in this game, our character is such a compulsive smoker that someone remarks, why don't you just smoke 2 of them at once? Well, what I've found for you is on the 3D printing website, there is a doodad here that will allow you to insert 2 cigarettes for your smoking pleasure. So it is insert 2 cigarettes and smoke them both at once. Little doodad here. So it looks like a triangle that's got little ports in it. So that's what you're competing for. Thank you, Victor.
You're welcome.
You have found a generator that's been destroyed.
With an axe.
Yeah, with an axe. And instead of taking the axe, you actually
took a picture of it.
You took a picture of it, and you can do some more profiling, and you can take the fuses rather than the axe, even though right now the axe seems like it would be a great thing to have. I was never actually grabbed by one of these people.
Oh my god, he's in your mouth.
There it is. He's got his hand in your mouth.
A bite.
I never actually saw that happen, though I did read about it. Yeah, zombie got to you and he stuck his hand in your mouth. Gross.
So it says York. Does that imply that will be other characters as well?
For the time being, yeah, we're York.
But will we be
like the,
other
peppermint
people?
patty.
We'll see. I think I'll get a better feel for this game when we get out of this area.
I would like to wager my 0.5 points that there are other playable characters.
Okay, fair. Putting it all on the line. That's what Tom's doing.
I would also like to wager Tom's.
Wait, you were wagering
points.
Tom's points?
Yeah.
I would like to wager Victor's
not
points.
Allowed?
I'll allow it.
I would like to wager Chris's points.
Wait.
On Frank's behalf.
Overall, very chill for a guy encountering zombies.
Yeah, no questions.
What we assume are
so
zombies.
far about who are these people, who were they.
He's a confident guy.
So we talked some about Twin Peaks, and I hadn't seen any of it. When in my research for this game, I read some about it and people's comparison to this game. So I watched the pilot, at least halfway through the pilot as well. And if this character is like the Dale Cooper from Twin Peaks, he's very thorough and meticulous about like detailing things about getting reimbursed from the FBI. Like he talks into his recorder and says like, I had dinner at this place. It cost so and so. It was the best apple pie I've had in this region. Things like that. I just imagine like this guy going back to his car and notating like 12 headshots on zombies. Gonna get reimbursed from the FBI.
He's like, oh, someone else must have been smoking a cigarette whilst on their phone, whilst on their laptop, whilst looking at magic seeds.
Bullseye, as I shot this woman in the face.
I know. Look at this guy first. Oh,
we found the... I don't think Frank was fast enough.
I hit E.
The guy wearing the giant red coat with glowing red eyes. Oh, he evaded, though. You got some quick time events. Oh, he's wagging his finger at you. Don't do that again. He's got glowing red eyes, and he drags an axe along the ground.
I got
Scar on face guy.
The fog wall, for sure.
Fog wall? Okay.
Red vines from War of the Worlds.
Red
Not
vines.
really a trope. It's
Yeah.
just...
Yeah, for axe to grind, I'll give you one there, Frank. Because, actually, the axe drag, which sends up sparks, even when it's on soft ground, it'll make sparks as a trope listed on their thing.
Yesterday morning, the milk I poured in my coffee made a sign. It said,
Who are you talking to?
Yeah,
He's not even
it's like
holding
he's
a
talking to a
phone.
Bluetooth earpiece. I'll give you a point, Tom, for the walls. Victor, what was the thing that you said?
Well, I did say red vines, but I also
Like the
said
candy.
shovel Shovel zombie routine.
Yeah, so
You're wearing a suit.
They say that embraces
Is that a cliche?
the Garden of Evil trope, which is a distinctly unpleasant place to be, where there's poisonous vines and stuff. So yeah, point for that.
How about having a scarred main protagonist?
Absolutely.
I think Frank said that too.
Oh, did he?
You might have to share the point.
Oh, did
or
you,
give
Frank?
him,
My
give
bad.
them both
So
a point.
real
okay,
quick,
Tom, you
yeah,
can have
that's called good scars, evil scars, and you guys can both have a point for that. So real quick, you got into an open place that gave you a different kind of UI. There was a giant map, and you had to run 500 meters to get to your next destination point. And here you are. There's a deputy sheriff here that you saw in a cutscene earlier. Emily Wyatt with some introduction music.
Very angelic music. Oh, this is an obvious one. A phone save point.
Sure.
FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan. Please, just call me York. That's what everyone calls me.
Can I call you Peppermint Patty?
Agent.
I'd rather call
York?
you Peppermint
Good, that's
Patty.
If you don't mind me asking, did you walk all the way here?
A fair question. Did you
My
walk all the
car
way here?
broke down, that's all.
Car broke down's an understatement.
Car didn't.
I also
Yeah.
killed
Yeah, you
zombies.
ran it off the road.
Yeah, that was not his leading statement. Hey, you got some zombies back there.
Well, it's peaceful now. He probably forgot about him.
She's easy on the eyes.
Okay, he's having an
Definitely
aside with a
worth
voice
trip
in his
to the
head.
primitive world.
Sounds like he's saying that out loud.
Mention
Professor
anything
Xavier.
He does seem to be moving his lips, so it seems like he's talking and she's staring at him.
Yeah.
Don't want that, do we, Zach?
No, he's
I-
Charles Xavier. He's
Welcome.
talking to.
Yeah, he's doing the
somebody
Xavier
else.
move, yeah.
I'm the
I'm not
sheriff.
sure where he came from,
George
but there's
Woodman.
Sheriff George
Call me
Woodman.
George.
That's a sheriff's mustache if
He's a
I
good
ever saw
freeze
one.
frame.
Yeah, he's got some handlebars.
FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan. Please, just call me York.
Just call him York.
That's what
They're
everyone calls me.
appreciate you holding it to my eyes.
The flash and the badge.
Could you tell me why the FBI is so interested in a small-town homicide?
Let's just say it's a personal interest in killers of young women. I'm always looking for new sample cases to help me with my profiling.
That's the creepiest possible
Both are
answer.
superiors of purpose with each other.
Not because I'm a creep.
You can remain
I like
Why
it when
doesn't she have
young
a
women are
gun in that
murdered,
holster?
so
problem with this, do you?
you don't have a
No.
problem with that, do you?
You can have your
So some
profiling
friction with the
sample,
sheriff off the bat.
but I need you to understand that.
So he takes a puff of his cigarette and blows the smoke, which goes everywhere apparently because it's right into their faces.
Oh my god.
George,
It was like coming out
Yeah,
of
that
a
was
jet.
Yeah.
Send someone
So
to
he
take
said he
care
had a
of
little problem with his car. Could you
it. Oh,
send
and
someone
my
to take care of
clothes
it?
and luggage are still inside.
Which is an understatement.
It's also very vague.
All right, don't worry.
Like, where's
I'll
the
get
car,
my
guy?
assistant Thomas to take care of it.
Yeah, how
I
how are you
mean-
going to do that? How far back is it?
Do you
Look
What
for
happened?
the look for the zombies.
Missing some tires or
the
what?
shovels.
Thanks. That'll be
He's not even gonna warn him. Hey, there are zombies in that area.
I think I'll
but-
rest up first at the hotel.
We really don't need your help. Unlike some of your corrupt city police officers, I play it by the book. I hope you'll come to appreciate that, Agent Morgan.
Damn, not
I
calling him
asked
York.
you to call me.
And we'll
Whatever.
handle
Here's the
the
horn music.
investigation. You just think of this as a
Noir
vacation.
horn music.
Take it easy. Enjoy the nature here.
FBI is going to pay you, $1,150 for
Hell
that?
yeah, I'm
It's
in.
not bad.
I'm in.
Sign me up.
Good.
So
right,
below
so there's
your
a trading
health,
card there?
there's like a energy meter. I guess you can.
Yeah, it's like an EKG. It's your heartbeat rate. If you hold down left shift while you're moving, it does.
It looks like he's
apparently
throwing
your sneak.
up. He's covering
He's
his
covering his
Yeah, I'll
mouth
throw
while
up in your
sneaking.
hand.
You can see
if
your
you just
stamina meter
hold left
increases
and
much
shift.
faster while you're doing that and running.
Cap it out, Frank. Cap it out. Come on.
Come on, Frank.
You can do it.
Pass out.
Come on, Frank.
It's taken a long time to get there.
Oh, he's getting winded.
80%.
You're in shape.
Oh, panting.
Oh, gotta take
For
a
a second, I
breather.
thought he died. Like he was gonna have a heart attack. Oh wow, he's
All right.
he's really winded.
Did say clean. You can clean your suits. They get dirty over time.
Do people react to you having a dirty suit?
Oh, here you can shave as well. All right, so he's shaving.
Does your beard grow if you over time?
It sure does.
What do you know? Wait, you just get paid to do that?
I did hear a ka-ching. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Chin-
I don't know why,
ka-ching.
but yeah, you do.
Wow, the FBI is generous
You-
as hell.
You collect your stubble, you put it in a bag, you deliver it to the FBI, and they pay you for it. Yeah.
And right, I'm sure
Evidence
I'm sure
of
just like him,
shaving.
there's like a guy that's into that.
Do you have the receipts? Polly, the hotel owner,
I have to kill her,
was
right?
serious.
stereotypical old lady you can imagine, completely at a 90 degree, bent over because of her back.
He's like, hey, I actually recently found out a great remedy for back problems.
Have you ever tried going the other way?
Or I could just shoot you in the head.
Look at
Is
that
everything all
table.
right,
Yeah,
Mr.
they are
Morgan?
sitting at an
Holy
absurdly large
shit.
table.
Yes. It's delicious, Polly.
Like, if you think of
My
Batman
compliments to
from
the chef.
1989,
Cooking will
it's
bring back
longer
the
than that
big
table.
guests. Honestly, though, it's been a while since anyone has stayed here.
I couldn't help but notice.
What's that? The salt's in that white shaker there.
Thank you. I was wondering if there were any other guests or workers here.
Oh, no.
I'm
no
not
one
gonna lie,
else.
man, this is a
My
slog.
husband and I used to run this place, but he's in heaven now.
Like,
Just
You've
like Twin
been
Peaks.
working here alone
Not
since
delivering the
then.
action you want.
Must be hard by yourself.
Oh my, we're all out of pepper.
like this conversation, like they could be
sorry.
talking about the
It must
town.
be difficult to run a hotel by yourself.
Well, yes,
Good.
I suppose.
They're doing a funny little bit where she
I
can't
could
quite
just live on
she
my
can't quite
pension.
hear what you're saying.
But I have to admit, running a hotel is kind of like a hobby of mine.
That's nice. Polly, it might help to hear you better
You
if you
move,
could sit a
jackass.
little closer.
Oh my, Mr. Morgan.
He's
You're embarrassing me.
Oh, I think she's having a
Early in the
fit.
day, too. I think I'm a little too old for you.
Face, what happened?
Let's just say I
Somebody
had
got
some
good eyes.
trouble during the last case I was working on. I'm sure it'll heal. It's just a flesh wound.
Oh my, well, there's no need to be the tough guy here. I want you to be able to relax here. I've prepared a special room for you. A
This
famous
music.
rock star once stayed
The
in
music
the
just
same
seems like it's getting
room, you know.
louder.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I feel honored.
If you need anything at all,
This
just
is hell.
let me know.
I was gonna say, I'm getting
Zach, the lady
I'm
is
getting
offering
antsy,
to help.
man.
Do you want to ask her about the town?
Who is Zach
What the
again?
fuck is going
Say,
on?
Polly, what can you tell me about this
Oh,
town?
we finally got to the town. Oh, the shops. You want to hear about the shops, Frank?
Say no, nothing else. Got all we came for.
Wait, did it skip it?
I think it actually did. Yeah.
God
she
damn
gave
it.
you your coffee.
Frank, that was really masochistic of you.
There's your chance,
I'm not
Frank.
going back.
She would have told you a lot about the shops. Essentially,
Look with
you would have found out the
interest.
town was like a boom town for lumber, but everyone left, and so it used to be a big town, and now it's not. So that's why the town has the feel that it does. And in his coffee, he saw like coffee readings.
Oh my God,
he saw the
smile.
letters FK, like entrail readings, or any of those other tea leaves, those kinds of things.
Speaking of premonitions,
Alphabet cereal.
for the cliche clash, when he does a
Yes.
profiling and has his premonitions, it's a premonition montage.
I don't know how to look that up, but
A promptage.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Where it's like premonition. It's like picture, 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 picture.
I gotcha.
Dude, I have to kill this lady. I already know it.
Polly?
Look at that fucking posture.
If you think about it, she's kind of inverted to the zombies. She's like as good as you can be, hunched all the way forward.
Good
The
point.
zombies are hunched all the way back,
All right, so
People's
she has a bunch of items
Heavy
here in
cigarettes?
a heavy cigarettes. Wait, are
Oh wait,
those
it's a very
$114?
small, very
they're
rare and
heavy.
strong brand. Smoking them will make you forget
Wait,
that
are
time
these-
is going by. They're $114.
weed cigarettes?
I don't know how many cigarettes there are for like a crate of them. That could be okay. I don't
Holy shit! It's just,
Now those are pot cigarettes.
know. So we're starting to see some of this world that like there's a lot of items you can carry here.
Bait is $120. Jesus.
There's apparently like
Holy
a sleep
shit.
meter and hunger meter.
I take it back.
There's
She's
some
not
fishing.
moral. She's running a racket. This is
Well, she never gets any business, so
You required a
she's-
fishing rod, and it went and buy a bait. Okay.
Maybe she saw that you were carrying around $1,100 in cash, and she's like, "Oh yes, those crackers are $55."
Wait, she just charged you $119 for bait. Is that what just happened?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same price as the
worms.
fucking fishing pole.
Did
the
you not
worms
know
that go in the fishing
worms?
pole.
Yeah.
they're rare
funny,
around
she-
here.
If you would have asked her about like the shops in town, she would have told you there was a gunsmith also, which probably would have been more interesting to you. I know.
No, did you beat it?
Oh no, I did not beat this game.
Wait, is this the Mario theme?
Outside there was a police. Okay, Frank, I'm giving you 10 points right now.
This is fucking the Mario theme whistle.
For catching that.
So
the first time I
just
played
gonna say, to thank for preparing a car
this
for
theme
me.
song.
A pleasant surprise. Let's take it for a spin.
Yeah, and I wouldn't know except for the way that Mario is missing remixed that song. That just is like ingrained in my brain, like a very slow version of that Mario theme.
The keys were left on the...
All right, so real quick recap. You went outside the hotel. You found that there's a police car sitting there that had the keys for the police car sitting on the police car, and York had this dialogue that's like, wow, that's what this country needs more of. Values. Like, they would trust people to leave, like, this car is for York, and they would leave a police car here for me to use. Now Frank is driving around a police car with a mini map and all. It seems like an open world kind of exploration thing. So you're driving your car, you got a speedometer, you got a gas meter, you got you slammed into that wall pretty hard.
You got a damage meter too, right?
It's the crying guy.
No, he's just a weirdo.
Oh, that run.
Agent York.
We have met Thomas McLean, who
He's the guy.
Flash the badge.
For the sake of catching up to Frank, I got a duo. A small town horror setting, and also a small town rocked by a murder.
What? Look at that run.
So Thomas runs off side of screen in a way that I can only describe as a anime girl. And Tom, I will give you a point for the trope of City Mouse. The plot of this game, just in summary, the narrative techniques that this game employs. It's like narrative techniques like flashbacks, unreliable narrators, or framing devices. These are all I've lifted them from the Wikipedia page on narrative techniques, but they're like mechanisms for storytelling. Like, for example, in Princess Bride, it's the grandfather telling the story to Fred Savage, which I think that's the character's name in that movie, Fred Savage. But like, that's the framing for telling the whole story, right? And there's lots of narrative devices like that. Like in Shutter Island, for example, we have an unreliable narrator and flashbacks. And the game that we're playing, it's just going to look at that page and use all of them at once. In fact, like the first 4 scenes of this game, which will take about a half an hour, you have no idea like what is real, who you are, who's the main character of the story, what's going on. There's just so many layers that you have to start getting into. It's hard to start piecing it together, which maybe they put it together in the end. I don't know, like Lost, you'll see. But you start off with a pre-rendered movie about some twins and their grandfather walking in a forest. You discover the body of Anna kind of crucified on a tree with the vines, and she's cut open. It's totally gross. So you go to a new scene with a little girl who wants her mysterious grandpa to tell her a story. He starts to, and then it cuts to Agent York, who we're playing as, who you eventually find out is the main character, being an eccentric FBI agent. He crashes a car and goes into like this zombie-like sequence. Then you arrive at a town where you were headed, and it's unclear whether that thing actually happened because you don't tell anyone about it. You were definitely using bullets though, and you just don't mention it to them. So you're a big city FBI guy in a small town. The sheriff doesn't want you involved.
I will say this game is very effective in making you feel trapped, because I feel very trapped.
Yeah.
I relate with this. I'm like, this is who said it earlier? This is hell. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. When we talk about the development for this game, it kind of all centers around one guy, Hidetake Suhiro, or as he usually goes by, Swery. It seems like that is his name that he goes by, based on his handle, Swery65, SWERY 65. He started working for SNK in 1996, then started his own company, Access Games, based in Osaka, Japan. His first game was Spy Fiction for the PS2. It had middling reviews and was kind of poorly marketed, but it came after Metal Gear Solid 2 and Winback, which seemed like it was kind of following the footsteps of and wasn't quite as good as, but it gained the attention of a guy by the name of Tomio Kanazawa, who wanted to develop an open world mystery and thought that Swery was the guy to do it. From a Polygon article, he describes how it was nearly canceled so many times over 6 years of development, and it seemed like an exhausting development process. They cited issues with development being that there weren't any games like it, so they were kind of making their own way. And the studio simultaneously was developing a game called Lord of Arcania, So this game got a very small budget, and it took a lot of his personal time. Swery wrote 80% of the side quests and most of the dialogue for this game. He wanted to create an open world that he said uses real time, real scale, and real life. They actually traveled to the U.S. and noted like measurements of billboards, railroad crossings, and other things to make it seem more accurate.
Wow, it seems like he just had an excuse to travel to the U.S. That a phone call would have handled that.
Yeah. Real quick.
Age 18.
The victim's name was Anna Graham. Which, fuck you.
Come on.
But for the time being, she was working at A&G Diner here in town. She lived with her mother, Sally. Honest father
So,
died
are we
in
going to
an
meet
accident
someone with
when she was
FK?
a child.
We might somewhere along the line.
God, he'd get kicked out right after that. They'd be like, who the fuck are you talking to?
Yeah, he crazy. That's a
City
cigarette
folk,
on a
huh?
plate.
No, I take that back. All of them can't be as bad as him, and some should have better manners.
Can they? You think that they can't hear each other? Because they are very close. This is not a long table, and they're just saying.
Where in town
rude
can I get
things.
these?
Well, actually, I baked them myself.
Oh my god, I'm gonna kill myself.
That's amazing. What are you doing in law enforcement?
I gotta be honest,
I'm very
Chris.
particular about biscuits. All
This might be this
balance
might be
of milk,
one of the
butter
worst,
you've
man.
achieved. Oh, my.
Agent Morgan.
This might be one
The
of the
autopsy's
worst,
ready.
dude. It's
You are
like a
welcome to
trick. It's
accompany
not a
me to the
game.
Greenvale General Hospital. Emily, you come too. Thomas, stay here and tidy
Why
up
do
these
they
files.
not have guns in their gun holsters?
There are
We're going to
no
use
guns
the
in the
car
holsters. Good
outside.
call.
I'm hoping you won't slow us
You
down.
couldn't be any slower. There's no way on earth you could be slower.
You have cleared the sheriff's
Oh
office.
my god.
All these buildings are like massive too, and they have 4 people in them.
Yeah, there are 3 employees for the sheriff's office.
And it's huge.
You just got
It's-
paid
it's-
$1,700 for that, by the way.
I thought that was my
For
total
what,
money.
smoking a cigarette and talking to yourself?
I'm sorry. So a turkey sandwich would fill. It was like a ton of your hunger, but a whole fucking country ham.
We're looking at some tool tips on
Like
the load
moderate.
Some of them.
The Greenvale General Hospital is down the road by the lake. It's too far to walk. Come on, get in the car.
If I'm riding in a car, George, I prefer to be the driver.
That's how we all feel, George. Oh,
Very well.
man.
Then I'll ride with you. I want to keep an eye on you.
Fair enough.
None of that was necessary.
Just one thing, Agent Morgan. Your involvement in this case is limited. That
Oh my
means
God.
you don't have to learn
Oh
your
my
way around
God.
town.
The music changed.
Oh my god.
George,
Tom's
Yeah.
holding
you
his
better
head
get
right
moving.
now.
The hospital closes at 21.
Hospital
Tom's had
closes.
enough of this game.
I don't care about
All right, get
winning
in the
anymore.
car, Frank. Get in the car.
I usually am like
Not that car,
invested in
Frank.
winning. I'm like, okay, pay attention, be in it, be in it, be in it. You gotta get points, Now,
I think that's part of the game, though. It's a psychological game. It wears you down. You have to reach deep within yourself in order to just get to the next cutscene. You get it? Cutscene, autopsy. I don't know. There's not. I'm trying, but there's not much here.
that's good. Give him a point.
Yeah, I'll give you a point.
What good's it gonna do? The next time I get a point, it's gonna be an hour and a half from now, and Frank will have said something like, "Oh, is that Yoshi?"
Yeah, they'll
Like,
get
is it
40
stamped in
points.
The back
That was
of the
a good
building or
catch.
something?
That takes me to though that the if you look at the map, every street is named. They decided, to give names to all these streets to try and recreate like a small town vibe. They actually went down to the detail of like what would the wage be for the diner, and like how would the people
What?
living on that be living, and
How can you
what
say
would the
that?
schedule of each? Because
They
what would the
charge-
schedule?
They charged you they charged you $800 for a
$1,000
worm.
for a country ham.
How can you say they
That's right.
took into account what things
They
cost?
don't have any bait shops in the area, so the price of importing them is astronomical, Tom.
Supply and demand, Tom.
I'm just
Supply
reading
and
what I got off of
demand.
Wikipedia. but each character actually does follow their own schedule. So while in the moment we are kind of locked into like this main quest, we could abandon the main quest at this moment and kind of go off and start doing some side quests, and we would see that each character does do a daily rotation of what they do in the morning, what they do in the evening, what restaurants they go to, where they spend their free time, and they've created a kind of fully realized world as far as they're concerned.
It's sad because
So you're in
I think you've gone a little too far,
Pleasantville,
Frank.
but
it really,
nothing. You're in Unpleasantville. No, go ahead.
Unpleasantville.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it's sad because the concept of like being a detective in a living, breathing town that interacts like is a cool idea, and it's just they're spogging it down, man. It's just a slog to get through it. It could be it could be interesting, like you're saying, to go around the town. Maybe you meet people and they have different things. You kind of figure out mysteries like that. It's a cool.
So what you want is like an LA noir in a small town.
Yes, that is. There you go, Frank.
Frank just tried his absolute best to crash.
Oh,
and
Frank, you can
you're
fish.
Going the wrong
you can
way
fish
somehow.
up ahead, Frank.
He found a fishing point.
Catch a Gyarados, Frank.
Yeah, you're right. LA Noir, small town.
You catch a Magikarp, Victor, real quick?
I know,
you catch a Magikarp,
but you know what?
okay?
If you dream, maybe you'll catch a Gyarados, Chris. And right now, I don't know what's real.
So they just gave you the instructions to get to the hospital by 2100. I don't know what time it is, but Frank has gone off on a side mission to go fish.
Did they take the car? Is Frank gonna have to walk?
Not entirely sure. He is fishing right now. He's selecting his rod. He's selecting his bait.
Oh, there we go.
He's doing the fishing minigame.
Yeah, that's what you should do.
Wait for the right time to get a big hit. What the fuck?
What in the world? This is
Don't tell me.
Oh
what
no!
The
Come
fuck? On. Why?
You just caught a card that says milk on it in the fishing minigame.
What the? No, Frank, you go back there, Frank.
Fish?
Frank, you go back there.
You catch some bullets, Frank.
There was a woman screaming was one of them.
Normally, you don't want to catch some bullets. One of the things on the minigame was like it's a roulette wheel kind of, and one of them was Emily, the sergeant, her doing kind of a screaming face.
I can't believe they took away the joy of fishing in this game.
I can't believe they replaced the fish.
Since I told Frank at the beginning just kind of rush through this, and we want to see as much story as possible, I'm going to go ahead and dock 3 points there. He's at a commanding 10 still, though.
I
we got the screaming voice.
Wait, what?
Failed.
Emily with the screaming voice is just failed.
Oh,
That's
come
what that is.
on.
Smell the flowers.
You're just picking flowers, literally picking flowers when you're supposed to go to an autopsy.
Something mesmerizing
This is
about
very
it.
Twin Peaks right here.
It is, because he's like, tell me, what are those trees that you have? The Douglas
I saw a
firs,
rabbit.
yeah.
Was it a cotton rabbit? A mountain rabbit. Oh, interesting.
All right, well, while Frank's running along the
This
road,
game
I
makes
think
me
that's what he
feel
has to
like-
do
oh,
now.
no, there is a
he
car.
does have a car. So they walk to the hospital. They make a car with you. Yeah, it completely makes
know
sense.
the way.
All right, let me get through some notes
Can
here.
you run them over on the way there?
The development team did notice that they had problems with the programming and visuals of this game. It was canceled originally when it was called the Rainy game because of limitations of the systems. Then they went to build it on the 360, and admittedly they were like sloppy with the implementation of it because there was so much more hardware and memory space to work with. In the end, they had to actually strip out a lot of the world's objects to help it run better because they couldn't optimize it properly. So like the world does feel a little bit sparse, like these big flat fields. There's some trees, but like they had to strip a lot of it out because they weren't good at optimizing it. The soundtrack, which we've heard, is very unique. There are several themes that play throughout very intentionally. They are absolutely jarring at times and do not fit the tone at all. The voiceover work, which was more than 6,000 lines of dialogue, were all recorded over 2 weeks, and about half of them were for York's character.
That poor man.
Yeah, it was released in 2010 originally for the 360, which is pretty unique actually because this was a Japanese developer making a game for the 360, which is a very small share of their market, but that's what Access Games was actually positioned to do, and make games for the Western market, and it was later released on the PS3 in Japan, as I said, titled Red Seeds Profile.
This is ridiculous.
Access Games, Red Seeds.
Access
Wait a minute.
ridiculous.
Access powers.
This should not be in
Red
this game.
Seeds?
Did you just find
It's a racing
racing
game.
minigame? I did not know this existed, honestly.
This
Because I went to the hospital with the people, and you arrived to the hospital and are able to do a racing minigame. Oh, you tipped your car.
Oh.
Freckly Fiona.
Well, that's super insulting for her.
Hi there, Fiona.
That's what she goes by. Just call me Freckly.
Just call me Freckly. Everyone else does.
The computer room is where our employees share a computer.
Very nice to meet you, too. I'm
And the
FBI
bathroom
Special
is where
Agent
people
Francis York
go
Morgan.
to the bath.
How did you
No,
know I
that's
was
not right.
Easy. None of the police in this town wear cologne.
They're all stinky and ugly.
Why are they talking
Besides,
about shit
that
like
scar on your
this?
face is the biggest rumor in town.
The scar on his face is the
get
biggest
exaggerated.
rumor
How
in
about the
town.
murder?
Even
Why
in the
isn't the
countryside.
murder the biggest thing in town?
Tom, it's a small
You gotta see
town.
this guy's
This doesn't
scar.
Fight on a
happen lot.
tree.
Liar's house?
She's reading a book called Liar's House.
You haven't heard of this yet? It's a recent bestseller mystery. It's set in the U.S., a small traditional North American town close to the Canadian border. A peaceful,
They're
traditional
fucking horned.
However,
Every
that
time.
peaceful town is shadowed by a terrible crime. The murder of a local girl.
So
And
she's
that
describing the book
incident
she's
causes
reading, which is
sadness
obviously
to
about
everyone in town.
what's happening right now.
The seditious
murder.
themes, evil still lurking alive. Yes,
Okay.
such a situation right now here in Greenvale.
Fiona, don't say that. Have some class.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. With Anna dead and all.
Don't worry. Books are written to entertain, and it's good you're enjoying it.
Oh my god.
The horns are screaming.
Oh my god.
True.
Wait, real quick. I watched this video the other day of this thing called like Hell's Pass or whatever. It was like this guy crawling through like a tunnel system. It's like you can barely fit your body through it in real life. And like
Yeah,
I got
spelunking, yeah.
anxiety watching it. And I'm not even like that big on enclosed spaces like to freak me out, but watching that I was like, no fucking way. I feel identically right now. I feel the walls are closing
Like
in.
you're never
man.
going to be able to escape.
The walls are closing in like
Yeah.
if they're gonna walk in, they're gonna talk about some other shit, man. They're gonna talk about other shit.
don't care. I just don't care.
Fiona needs to check her information.
Why would you put
'Cause
five posters on
Doctor
all
is not
right in a
here.
fucking row?
Does the doctor like playing games by any chance?
No,
What do you
Sydney.
mean?
Russian roulette.
There's a message on the computer
Just tournament.
Your
and a card
move.
key already set in place. The king passes the rook
Oh, God.
and meets the
Every time this music comes in.
The knight takes a
Fucking
pawn
kill.
for the queen.
What does that all mean?
The dying elephant.
It's a simple puzzle.
Zach, let's take him up on his challenge. You can do this, right?
He's a fucking psychopath.
All right,
Yeah,
so
no,
we've been
that's what
given a
I'm saying.
clue. The clue, it's a riddle is what it is. All right, everyone pay attention here. King passes rook and meets bishop. Knight takes pawn to queen. Are you ready? Frank got it right. All
just
literally
picked
all it
Omar.
was putting the words in the order that they were
It's
in.
not even fucking set.
And he does
not a
this
riddle.
weird
The
fucking
doctor awaits
grin.
below with
Next
the
next
deceased.
riddle. The doctor waits below with the
Another
deceased.
code?
What could it be?
But there's
Fucking
nowhere to
dumbasses.
insert a
The
password.
coroner?
More games. I'm going to get Fiona to call Usha up here right
That's
now.
not a riddle.
No need, George.
No.
The message appeared with the card key. It's telling us
Lord.
where to use it.
This is not the time to be joking around, Agent Morgan.
Oh my god, I agree.
Dr. Usha is below with the deceased. With Anna. Below being underground, I think.
Gosh. Which is, this is
Hey.
Fuck you, Chris.
this is a bad one. This is
Fuck you,
real
Chris. This
garbage.
is.
So the second riddle was the doctor waits below with the deceased, and they're like, "What? Another riddle?"
Where the fuck do you think the morgue is, asshole?
Let's get started, shall we?
Let me point out that this game
Thought
was
it was on the
released
roof.
in America first. It wasn't a bad translation of a Japanese game.
No.
Wait, is this Usher?
Wait, it's actually Usher.
Oh,
It's
no.
Usher Johnson.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
This is Agent Morgan from
Gold
the
chain.
FBI.
I know, the chain. I would like to make a vow.
Very well, Agent York.
I will never, ever watch Twin Peaks in protest of this.
See, we've all been on the weird same page because I was literally thinking that when Frank was running down the hallway. It was like one of the worst things. Yeah, I was like, this makes me not want to watch the show. If this is any indication of what it is, which... Oh, God.
It's all about like the small town meeting all these interesting characters. That's the relation to twin.
Quirky. They're all quirky.
Quirky, eccentric. All right, so we're doing the autopsy now. We're learning some things about the deceased. It seems like she was gripping something in her right hand, but it was removed.
And the cop just looked at her hand like she realized she had one.
Wait, am I the murderer?
So Usha has given his autopsy report here.
I have a right hand.
Was it me? She has marks on her neck.
I first thought death by suffocation due to the marks on her neck. But after further investigation,
did you say anything else other than...
I now have a different conclusion.
She was cut up while she was still alive.
Yes, of course, that's what... God.
Oh my gosh.
It's the dumbest sheriff.
Yes, a sharp knife.
All right, I think this is moving a little slow for Tom. We need to slow it down a little bit.
Tom, you see, when a woman is split open and her organs come out, she normally dies from the loss of blood.
Her nails
that
are
is yet
clean,
to be proven.
And with no skin cells
he
from
probably
the
knew her.
She also doesn't appear to have been bound nor badly beaten. She was apparently killed without resistance. The most tragic thing, however, was that she was unable to speak her story to anyone.
What?
That's
the most tragic thing? Not actually that she was murdered, but the most tragic thing is she couldn't tell anyone that she was being murdered.
You know what's worse than being killed? Not being able to tell anyone about it.
It said that her tongue was cut out.
That's
and then
still...
Maybe you open that with that one. Maybe you just don't say weird cryptic shit.
Yeah.
Just give it to me straight, doctor. Don't
traumatized past.
Don't wax poetically.
Downstairs too long.
Right, now he's profiling.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he's profiling.
Out the tongue suggests
this is crazy.
The music has come back in now.
Either that or a truly hardcore sadist.
He's
yeah, seriously.
Doing an autopsy.
He must get off on watching
What is he
women
talking
suffer.
about?
Especially when they can't answer back.
Is he auditioning for a cop show?
He watched as the blood pumped from her
Hold on.
as she gradually grew cold. This case in Seattle in 1985 was much like...
Usher, please.
Usher,
limit
please.
your report to your findings as
Thank
doctor.
you.
Usher, please.
Criminal profiling.
Thank you.
What the fuck? Wait, did he do it?
Whoa.
Did he kill her? I think everyone's a killer. Did everyone
You're
kill
wrong,
her?
also.
Right after the movie on TV ended, so around 1 a.m.
What movie
So
was
you
it?
do remember?
What movie?
An American Werewolf in London.
Directed by John Landis, 1981.
You stop it.
So the rain stopped, accompanied
He's so
by the
eccentric.
ending song, Blue Moon.
Oh my gosh.
George, would you mind if I examined
Tom
him?
hates us so much.
What more do you hope
I
to
would
find?
seriously mind if you examined this person by yourself.
I'm sure I mentioned
so
that.
That is not
crazy.
reassuring.
Personal, hey,
That is
you
not
mind
reassuring
if I
that you have a
have the
personal
body
interest.
to
What the fuck?
myself? Remember my personal interest?
So he's saying that George, the perpetrator, is just like you. He's passionate about women. And why? Dun, 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 dun.
He's a passionate kisser, and this was a kiss of death. Ugh.
Ugh.
I understand why the prize is a double cigarette thing, because you're going to want to take up smoking
after seeing this game.
Yeah, he's gonna die.
You get it.
You're gonna
just
get cancer
to calm
and
your
die.
nerves and.
Very Silence of the Lambs, pulling something out of the back of the throat. It's a red seed, and York is now taking control of the case because it apparently is linked to a serial killer.
What the hell do you mean, Agent Morgan? I know I said I was passionate, but you can't think I did this.
What?
That's not why I'm assuming command, George. You're a suspect just as much as every other passionate man on Earth. Let me show you something.
I got these beans.
These magic beans.
These magic
Don't you
beans.
dare put it in that bag.
Sniff it.
It's actually worse than that, Tom. He holds up a
No.
sample
Eat
bag of seeds. He throws one down on the autopsy table. Another.
Oh There's always three. They travel
He's
in
got
threes.
so many bags of these seeds. He's like, see what I'm talking about?
There you go. Amazing.
What the fuck?
None of them are labeled.
Questions, but most of
No.
the details are top secret.
The motherfucker just walks away and seemingly doesn't pick him back up.
He just leaves him there.
I'll go on ahead. I can't take it any longer down here.
Sorry.
You know what's funny is I literally thought that was from the show because of how abrupt the music is.
And checkmate.
So he said some chess moves on his way out of the room.
Which is ludicrous because in no way did the sentence previously like describe an entire chessboard.
No, but apparently he had glanced at a chessboard that was on Usha's screen.
In the Grandmaster ranking.
Just lending credence to how much of a genius York is.
Oh, is that what it was doing?
Yeah, that's what it was doing. I'm going to run through a couple quick notes, Frank. You can run around for a second or see what's happening here. You leave the autopsy room, and what do you know? It seems like you're in another...
Oh, no.
Viney red area? Some similar games that are kind of trying to do it all and maybe like take a weird tone with their subject matter also. Do you guys have any suggestions?
I mean, LA Noire kind of did that.
Sure, yeah, LA Noire is on the list. I'll give you a point for that. But some other games that have like tried to like create open worlds and a little bit of everything, some mini games, try and handle all kinds of subject matter. There's originally a Dreamcast game called Shenmue. It was later ported elsewhere, but yeah, it was a popular game that like people talk about as groundbreaking. It did so much. This reminded me of that quite a bit, as well as a newer Yakuza game, Yakuza 0. The tone strikes a similar tone. It's a Japanese game, and like the humor and the reaction shots are kind of all over the place.
Mafia?
So yeah, it reminds me of Yakuza. Yeah, Mafia, sure. From a list I found that listed similar games, they also put Alan Wake just because of these sequences, I think. And I mentioned original Resident Evil,
Alan
like the finding of weapons. The developer, Swery, also made a game called D4 Dark Dreams Don't Die. It's a mystery murder solving with some time travel incorporated. So, of course, that game is a lot like this game. Some other quick notes to get through before we wrap things up. Voiceover work in this game. Anna Graham, that name, which as far as we're concerned, she's dead throughout the game, and she is, but there are some flashbacks, dream sequences where she talks. She's voiced by Melissa Hutchison, who has extensive voiceover work and several awards for voicing Clementine in Telltale Games' The Walking Dead.
Wow.
So, yeah. Diane is voiced by Christina Crawford, who's provided voices for Sims speaking Simlish. So, like the made-up voice that Sims speak in, she does voices for that.
That's funny.
And our main voiceover actor, Jeff Kramer here, he provides the voice for York. He has a handful of voice credits, all voiceover. This is really the biggest one that I could see. And all the voiceover credits in this game, like all of them have like a sizable amount of work in their catalog, which isn't always the case with GGN. Sometimes you like look them up and like, sure enough, this is the only game that they ever did. They only ever provided voices in this game. But this one is like, yeah, they all work in like the video game industry doing voices for games here and there. So yeah, just to talk about the mechanics of the game a little more. Now that we're into it a little bit more, you got to see like you driving on the map and how big the world is. It has driving. It's an open world. It is non-linear. There are many side quests. It's an operational small town. You can venture around and talk to people. You can follow a single person around town and see what their schedule is if you want. It will, like, doing the side quests will give you RPG-like rewards that are better items to carry throughout the game. There's areas to explore for clues. There's some mini games like fishing. And yeah, you can just kind of wander around and do this game at your own pace. There's a in-game clock going, and you can sleep and pass time. So
I hope that you literally switch into a different mode and it says Zach.
Like your name changes?
Yeah.
Okay. But you're the same character.
Yeah, you're the same character, but he has like new abilities as his like obviously it's like Zach's in his head.
And actually, I'll toss in there, I don't know where I put it in my notes, it's later on. So they were developing this game, and I guess they pitched it, and like as far as like the publishing for it went, and the feedback that they got was that this game doesn't have enough interest for Western players. You're going to need to add some more action. So what they did, and I'll be honest, it kind of feels like it, is they did shoehorn in these sequences where you're fighting zombies. So that was not in the original game.
Shit.
That these sequences where you're fighting these zombies, it was more of a detective going into a small town, kind of procedural about meeting the whole town. And instead, they put in these sequences where you seemingly go like a little bit crazy and are fighting things in the hospital and things in the forest that maybe aren't there.
Maybe that's why they're backwards. It's a metaphor because he's like, this is so backwards.
Yeah, it's not like the upside down. It's like the backwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've entered the backwards.
All right, Frank, I really need you to quit now.
Again, look at this flashlight
Frank,
that's
Frank,
just coming out of his
press Alt
chest.
F4, Frank.
You got
I
the
wish,
key card.
Chris, I wish I could.
That doesn't work
Frank.
because it was in a giant magnet.
Oh yeah.
But look at
You
this.
just got a key card
Where's
out
this
of an
flashlight
MRI
coming
machine,
from?
which would definitely be busted. Good call,
That's what I've been
Victor.
saying.
That is actually a trope that they named. Was that hands-free headlamp is the trope that York has
That's
a
a trope.
handheld tactical light. It can be seen in the morgue when he's examining Anagram's corpse and during gameplay. However, the beam just projects out of his chest with no source. That's directly from tvtropes.org, which, like I said before about tvtropes.org, it's like they've cataloged everything that's possibly a trope, and then they just go through and like, does this possibly apply to this game? Does this possibly apply to this movie? This moves us into kind of our plot wrap-up section, and man, there's a lot of plot wrap-up, but we're going to speed through it. So real quick, as Tom was talking about earlier, guesses on howlongtobeat.com what it says the main story of this game is. How long does it take to beat this game for the main stories and extras at a leisure pace? This is with 143 people reporting their time, so it's not a small sample number.
30
hours.
So Frank and Tom at 30 hours. Victor, what do you think?
Well, I gotta pick something different.
Over or under? Pick the same thing if you want.
I'm gonna go 28 hours. I don't know.
You were incorrect. It is over. It is 41 hours for the main story and extras. And that is
Let's go
not
with your gut.
completionist. So what we're going to be looking at real quick is a video called Deadly Premonition Director's Cut, the movie, which Buffmeister on YouTube has kindly put together for us. The movie, which is comprised of all the cutscenes for the main story, tallies up 7 hours and 37 minutes.
God damn it.
So we're going to watch the entire... No, we're going to watch a
Settling for a long
couple
night.
quick highlights here. So as we're headed out of the hospital, you leave what we'll call the red sequence, where you're fighting zombies, and on your way out, you meet a character by the name of Harry Stewart on your way out of the hospital. Oh, it's my fault. There you go.
Okay.
Oh shit.
And this is a guy who looks like a character.
Hey,
he's in
he
a
can't
wheelchair
get
and he's
attacked
got
by
a...
zombies because they can't see him breathe.
He's
True.
wearing a
Good
gas
call,
mask.
Tom. That's a point for
What the
Tom.
fuck?
I agree. He has got like a skull mask over the top half of his face, and he's got a respirator mask.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Francis York Morgan. Haste
Me
won't
too,
lead
Tom.
you to what you see.
For a lot of things.
Keep your eyes focused on your footing as we speak. So says Mr. Stewart.
So he's
Can I
got like a
shoot him?
translator named Michael, who's getting whispered in his ear and saying what he says.
How did you know my name?
Crazy jazz music just going nuts in the background. It's getting fed the information to the line
Mr.
to read.
Francis York Morgan. Information desires you, just as you desire information too. So says Mr. Stewart.
No, that's a stupid thing to say.
That was so
Stop
stupid.
trying to get in our way.
Tell him.
Keep this
Can you
up,
hear me?
and even
If
get
you can,
the answer to the
I'll
law.
say it to his face mask. But if he can't, tell him he's stupid. And that was a real stupid thing to say.
He's also got like implants in his neck.
Mr. Francis York Morgan.
Yeah.
With each rain, our town goes mad. To our disdain, unpreventable. So sad. So says
Again,
Mr.
if you can
Stewart.
hear me, I've got some words for him. But if you can't translate
Then
this,
we shall
I'm gonna
depart.
All
kick
right.
you in the face.
So Harry Stewart's headed out. You're headed on to your next clue, which is meeting the people who found the body, which is Grandpa and the kids.
It's what everyone calls me.
And you are...
Flashing the badge. Just call me York.
That I am.
Jim Green.
I keep these woods.
He keeps these woods.
I'm sorry. What does that mean? He he maintains
Doing
them?
a fine job.
Yep.
Oh, you'll find out. Hold on, listen.
Tree surgeon.
He used to
Yeah,
be
they
a
sure
tree
look like
surgeon.
woods to me.
Did you catch that? He used to be a tree surgeon.
Tree surgeon.
Yes, my grandchildren. Isaac
Arborists.
and Isaiah.
Stupid.
An arborist.
Found Anna's body. They,
Isaac and Isaiah with the creepiest stills and title introductions.
when it
Nobody
says
caught
found
that
their
in
body
one
and they're
line.
smiling.
Just like in my dreams.
Sorry, Victor. We keep having thoughts at the same time. I'm so sorry.
I would
Victor.
say he's an arborist. There's puns in there.
That's good.
That is good.
Very well.
All right, hold on. We're doing the forensics on the tree now, so we're looking at the
This is
marks.
meant to be an anti-peace sentiment then.
You see the thing that was on her hand was like a upside down peace sign?
High stiletto heels.
There's marks in the ground for stilettos heels.
Here, Agent Morgan.
And you got the background music. In comes the whistling.
Put on her shoes. He's really enjoying it. Sicko.
So George is letting you know there's old folklore about a killer in a raincoat on rainy nights.
Hey, we saw a killer in a raincoat on a rainy night.
It's just a foolish piece of superstition, he says, though. And York has asked that we look at everyone's back. Apparently, the person with a killer, we found a photograph that indicates that the killer has a upside down question mark or upside down peace mark on their back.
What? He's saying he saw it?
Yeah, honestly, I don't recall how, but he's got a photograph of, like, that's what the killer's back may have on it, upside down peace mark. This symbol is very important. He's like, well, Emily and George, the sheriff and
take off your clothes,
deputy, if you show me your back, we can get to the bottom of this. All right, so sure enough, Emily shows off her back, and it plays the creepy angelic music. Don't do that, game. But it's pure and white.
That's weird.
Yeah.
George.
Now George shows his back. My God. It's covered in scars.
Just like your Mr. Zack.
What are those scars?
He says, just like Mr. Zack, it's something private. I don't want to talk about it. So he had asked them before, don't ask about Zack. Don't ask about Zack.
Insane.
We don't want to hear about it.
Me and Zack saw her get murdered. Don't ask about that.
So you next assemble a town hall. Where you let people know about what happened. Like, if you have any information, please come forward. Harry Stewart rolls up in his wheelchair and has a message delivered to everyone.
For our sins, we must not frown. The loss of honor was for that debt.
Very creepy message. Very chill.
Chilling or chill?
Oh, I'm sorry. Chilling. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
I got cut off there.
Also kind of chill.
Honestly, with the music, it's hard to tell what they were going for.
Is it super cool? Or all right, so after Town Hall, you have an opportunity to go around and meet the eccentric cast of this town, and there's a lot more people.
Good. That's exciting.
Yeah, so here we're meeting, I think it's a bar owner.
Right? I'm Richard Dunn, the owner of the Darts Bar. Sweary 60.
Here's my new way of thinking. It's simple, really. There's only 3 types of people.
For those listening at home, we're only hour 1
Everyone else
of the 7.5 hour.
That's 4 kinds of people. That's 4 kinds of people. That's not 3.
All right, we're introducing ourselves to someone else. What's this guy like?
Agent.
What's this quirky character like? Oh, he looks trustworthy. Brian the Insomniac is a gravekeeper.
This is the guy.
Good evening, Mr.
Brian, the gravekeeper.
Right. Mr.
All right, jumping to the next one. This is meeting the gas station couple. She, whoops.
Conversation. Anyways, you should come by the gas stand again. I'll give you the best.
That's where she works?
She is wearing the shortest jorts possible, with just busting it out on top.
I ain't got nothing to
And this is her husband, Jack the Raging Bull.
He looks like the guy from is it Street Fighter? No, Tekken. Maybe
Tekken.
Yeah.
That's some Tekken vibes.
Give me your name.
All right, here, let's meet another character here. This is the pot lady.
We are on hour 2. No joke. Hour 2. The 7.5 hour.
He's still holding the badge.
Hi. My pot is getting cold.
This is a woman.
Roaming Sigourney, nicknamed the pot lady. She is holding a pot and she is dancing.
My pot is getting cold.
You are... Who?
So honestly,
you're actively torturing us.
You actually meet about 10 more people like this. I'm not going to show you all of them. Those were the interesting ones. Next time that you emerge from your hotel room, you're going to meet this character here.
Chris, has GGN been building to this? Like, have you been building us to this moment so you could, make us sit here and subject us?
I'm so happy right now.
Are you getting your jollies off right
You
now?
almost ran into this guy, this big jolly fellow holding a pot.
The door opening like that it surprised me, that's all.
And this is Forrest Kazin. He's a sapling salesman. So he sells saplings.
He's got a dog. Does the dog die?
He's got a dog. Good call, Victor. Put in your bets now.
You're the special agent Scarface.
I say the dog will die.
He's
When
saying
we
everyone's
don't know.
talking about the Scarface FBI agent.
Scarface. It's not even like that bad a Scar.
No.
That's what everybody calls me.
Just call me York.
You got it. York.
All right, so we're going to jump to a lunch scene here, which...
Is everything okay at home, Chris?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So good. So good. So good.
Okay.
Hey, you know what? Point for Victor for mental health check-in there. I think it was warranted.
mental health awareness.
Good call. Good call.
Yeah,
Yesterday
that's
was
it.
Mental Health Awareness Day, so yeah, point for Victor.
Victor, seriously, good
All
job.
right, I want everyone to pay attention to this scene, though. I know I've been... Wow, he didn't hold the door open for her. So they go in the diner, and I want everyone to pay attention to this scene, though, because it's very
Hi,
important.
Olivia. Let me have your special for
I
today.
feel like you're lying.
And some fresh coffee.
Our special today is turkey. A turkey and gravy sandwich. Sound good?
He asked for coffee.
Okay. Yeah.
Emily, you eat something too. It'll be on the FBI.
It's the
Okay,
taxpayers'
then. I'll
money.
go all out. I'll have.
And she does. She doesn't mind that.
Yeah.
A Stewart comes in.
Diner in town.
Creepy guy in the mask.
Mr. Stewart's lunch. If it is ready, I'd
Unnecessarily creepy.
Yes, of course. Just a moment. Here you go. The usual. 1 turkey, strawberry jam, and cereal sandwich.
Sounds like the sinner's sandwich. Self-inflicted punishment to atone for past sins.
What?
Mr. Francis York Morgan, you should try this wonderful lunch. It's more than a delicious, tasty crunch. So says Mr. Stewart.
No, that's fine. I've just ordered my own lunch.
I am fucking blown away.
Mr.
Told you
Francis
Chris
York
is a
Morgan.
liar.
I hate Chris.
That
I hate him.
Mr. Stewart's order is delicious, I should mention.
Chris, this is hurting
And
our
Mr.
friendship.
Nick is a genius for creating this perfection. So says Mr. Stewart.
Still, I have a hunch I might not like it. You sure that sandwich is that good?
What the fuck?
This scene
Fucking
is
I
so...
resent you.
The
I
scene is
resent you,
so
Chris.
drawn
I
out.
resent you.
What?
I knew it.
It's a good
I've
sandwich.
called
Just
it.
try
He's
it.
a liar.
Mr. Francis York, just take a bite. Just take a bite.
For the love of God, please take a bite.
Take a bite.
Take a bite.
Try. It's a good
So says
sandwich.
Mr. Stewart.
It's a good sandwich. Just take a bite.
I'll give it a try.
What's in the sandwich?
Oh fuck.
Here we go. Here's the sandwich. He's got the sandwich in front of him. He's got half a slice. It doesn't look great.
Chris.
It's somehow 2D. It's like 3D and 2D at the same time. I don't know.
He's,
I can't believe it. This is fantastic. It's really good.
he didn't even take a bite.
Olivia,
There's no bite
sorry, but
missing.
Can I change my order? I'll have what Harry is having.
What the?
And everyone has the dumbest slack-jawed expression on their face you can imagine.
Chris, I get a point for calling
I'm
you out
losing
on
my
your lie.
mind. Finding victim number 2. You go into a house. I honestly can't recall whose house it is. You have to go to Becky's house. Warning for a little graphic
we're all
content real quick. More graphic than what we just saw.
Zach, take a shit in the toilet.
There's a knife hanging there. There's a bunch of wires around the room. It's a bathroom. Orchestral hit. Blood dripping from the knife.
A very classic orchestral hit.
Yeah, I know, from a free pack. Gasp. There's a woman strung up over the bathtub with the shower
And
running
that
over
music.
her.
I don't
Yeah,
think she's making it.
straight out of a sound pack. Not now, Victor. Not now. So you found
Sorry, I
the woman
was not
strung,
watching.
That's
strung
twice
up.
now Victor's done that, and I thought it was the actual soundtrack because of how fucking crazy the music
So
is.
you
in
pull out a
this.
cigarette. Let's start lighting it up. Oh my God, she comes
Oh
to.
my God.
She's not dead. Instead of saving her, you're talking
Give her
to
the
Zach.
cigarette.
Oh wait, I guess is this like a Saw thing?
Yeah.
Oh God.
So Thomas can't cut the wires, so George is
No,
getting
she's
there and
saying
cutting the wire.
no. She's saying no.
They cut the wire.
Okay, she's plenty of time. Plenty of time to explain why not to.
Well, it seems like she doesn't have a tongue, Tom. And I'm
She
not
said- no, she
sure
was
what
speaking
happens
English.
here. It seems like cloth wraps around her neck as she's falling, which doesn't seem to make
Breaks her
any sense.
neck?
I don't know. It honestly doesn't. The contraption that she's wrapped in falls, and she's like killed by it. It doesn't make any sense, and she's still not dead.
Her.
And she cries one sparkling tear, like Pikachu. That saves Ash. Yeah? I'm losing my mind, Victor.
Chris, you know what's spooky? This game is not spooky. You're spooky. I'm worried about you.
All right, so you see like a vision of Becky reaching out to Anna, the two dead people. Also, she had seeds in her mouth. So you go on to explore her bedroom. You find a journal that are showing some signs of like, she's saying like, I know who did this. Dear sister, I'm so sorry. I was a fool to fall for a man like him. And she's planning on giving the amulet to someone, and she's the only person who can take them out. Something like that. Honestly, no one's following the plot that closely, so it doesn't matter if I just screwed it up. We're jumping to the next plot scene of we're chasing Nick, the husband, in a car chase. So here we go.
Play with the big boys.
No, Chris for sure is the guy from Saw.
You're all in my room right now, yeah.
No, it's... we said yes is the problem, but we didn't know we were signing up.
This is pandemic Saw.
Oh god, a truck almost hit you. You're swerving.
Truck took that turn. Huge.
Way too fast. It's the truck's fault, if we're being honest. Close.
It was the truck's fault.
Close up on everyone's face, which was great. You're spinning so many times around. By the way, the license plate on the car is Spy Fiction, which was Sweary's first game. Diane is the next person that you wanted to talk to. And there is you're in a red version of the museum at some point, and this is what you see. It's creepy. I'll give it to him. Yeah. It's a giant tree with like hands for limbs. You get to the regular version, and Diane is hanging above this giant tree sculpture.
Which one's Diana?
She's one of the other women in town.
No.
That's all that matters to this game, Ritter. Yeah, so she's dangling above this very sharp tree. He's like, don't move, we're gonna save you. They're trying to push the giant sharp sculpture underneath her, but it won't move.
Yeah, no shit, the thing's
George
huge.
is there, the big bowl of a sheriff. He's gonna do it.
Oh,
he spits on his hand. Here we go.
Without help. That's ridiculous.
Oh, he's grunting. He's grunting.
That is ludicrous.
Oh, it's breaking off the wires on the wall. He's moving it. Says there's not enough time, George.
George used to be a workhorse, like a literal actual workhorse, and then he was transformed.
It's an Animal Farm situation.
Yeah. He was boxer.
George, you know what?
Reference,
Any
Frank.
other?
All right,
when
so
you said George catch us. Any other person, you'd be like, "There's no possible way," but like, no, George is superhuman.
So she's falling from her wire. He's falling from her wire, and York leaps. When I was saying like 30 feet in the air, catches Diane midair, grabs her, and is flying through the air towards George on the ground. And George is like, and catches them. Like props to George. Just a monster of a man. He catches both York and Diane, breaking their fall.
George used to be a horse.
Yeah, so she's going to come to, and she's going to be like in a fugue state and start talking about the sculpture here that she was rescued from. What? Seems like she doesn't have a tongue. Nick comes too. They're trying to arrest Nick because he's the most likely suspect at the moment. But in the meantime, the sculpture breaks. Emily tries to save her. You end up saving Emily, but not Diane. Diane is crushed by... So she dies anyway. Thomas will need a body bag.
Just for the viewers at home, we are now 4 hours into the 7 hours, or almost 8 hours of...
This is 4 hours,
shitty
yes.
cinematics.
We're talking to Carol, another woman in town, because we found out that she took the locket from Diane, and the locket is somehow key to all of this. He holds up the picture of the locket away from her, so she can't see it. So you talk to Carol in the bar, and I am not joking when she goes on stage with a boa and starts singing a song, and it plays through the entire song here. So we're just going to sit back and enjoy this real fast. No, we're not. But the entire song does play through here. So Emily...
This is like when you have Frank... do the
5-minute films.
5-minute films, but you stretched it into the entire GTM.
Emily comes over to York's room in the middle of the night. Emily, the deputy sheriff in the middle of the night. And it seems like because she's here with you at the bar right now listening to Carol. She wants to spend more time with him. Very unexpectedly, you spend the entire night learning about each other's pasts, and you divulge. Let me make sure we get this straight. You divulge in Emily that you have a childhood trauma, and this is Emily's feedback on York's story about your dad killing himself. Your dad killing your mom and then himself. And this is Emily's feedback on that situation. You've just told Emily that. Ready? Okay.
That's a sad story. But I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but I'm sure there was a reason for what you did.
Wow.
I mean, your mom was probably
this game even more.
What? I think maybe I became an agent to find out.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
I didn't think
it was possible. As he's about to kill his wife, he's like, don't worry, our son will be an FBI agent. They pay you to eat, honey. They pay you to eat.
And break boxes. All right, so as you're exploring just your series of clues and premonitions. No, this is just a flash thing that you have of these two characters mourning, Carol and another character mourning in what looks like a sex cult room. There's some bondage stuff there.
Sex dungeon,
sex dungeon. I'm sorry, I'm not classing this kind of thing.
You uncultured swine.
Your premonitions tell you to go talk to Gas Mask Harry Stewart. You do. You see, he's actually got red seeds with him. Where did he get these red seeds? He sends you on a treasure hunt. The cemetery's got him, it turns out. You go back to Harry. He tells you the history of the town, which is... It's coming in fast now, right? During the Cold War, the Raincoat Killer first appeared going on a killing spree, but the government suppressed the fact that there was a mass murder. Why? Well, Harry knows this because he saw the Raincoat Killer, but what he wants to talk about is the new Raincoat Killer because it's not the same one. He says that because of the connection to the seeds and the serial killer legend, somehow they got combined and you could eat the seeds, and the red seeds, they only came from trees in this town, and the seeds would give you like power, and at least the trees in this town is what started it, but now like the trees are all over the world maybe, but you can eat the seeds and become immortal. So now you're going to look for the sheriff files on these Cold War era murders, but they're missing. So, and actually so is Thomas. Thomas is missing too, the little goofy sheriff's deputy. So with no leads from about where to go next, you get a premonition from your coffee, which keeps happening, about a waterfall. And this is the sequence that ensues.
Going to a waterfall just might be a good idea. In feng shui, a waterfall is known to be a source of power. Even if we find nothing there.
George strikes me as a guy who knows feng shui.
Thanks for the vote of confidence, George. And don't forget to bring a fishing rod.
Right. This is a hangout episode of an anime.
This is a filler episode for sure.
Frank, you're right. Points for Frank.
Yeah, points for Frank.
What the fuck, dude?
My sincere hope.
You know what? I guess this is a Japanese
game. This game. I sincerely hope we are the last people to ever even see this video.
So here you are doing a fishing minigame.
Wait, now he didn't have to buy, did he? He just got that for free.
I think he might have had to buy it to actually do it. So what do you know? You fish up the case files.
You're fucking joking.
That we're missing. I give you the literal definition of Deus Ex Machina. For eternal life and eternal power, make 4 human sacrifices on rainy nights, each after eating the seeds. The sacrifice must also not speak while they are being killed.
What does that all mean?
And you're like, well, yeah, what does it mean? And do you recognize the handwriting? And he says, yes, it's Thomas's. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So Thomas's handwriting talking about being the Raincoat Killer, apparently. All right, so he's like, I've got to take him back to Harry, and Harry's going to tell me the truth. And Harry starts telling you a story about how when he was young, there was something crazy going on in town. He's got some past trauma with his parents, but he went to the clock tower, and he saw the military there fiddling with a device. There's a guy from the military there laughing maniacally, emitting purple smoke. It's chaos in the town. The purple fog is everywhere. And it apparently is driving people crazy. It's like the cell phone thing from what's that movie?
Yeah.
Kingsman, yeah. Everyone's just in a mad craze. And there's one guy in a red raincoat who's like really going ham, just killing everyone. The face beneath the raincoat was Harry's father. Da-da-da-da. So that was the original raincoat killer, possibly? So you recognize the thing that you saw in like it wasn't a vision that he saw before. It's just like, here's...
He's gonna wear it? He's gonna put on the dress?
The latex suit? No, he does not put on the latex suit.
Emily, I found a clue.
But he found the amulet, or the symbol thing that he was talking about before. He's like, we better let poor Nick go because Nick wasn't involved, we know. And he just gets hit in the back, and what do we see behind him?
Yeah, I told you about that lady. She's got that tree trunk neck, man.
That is someone else.
That's the guy. That's the deputy.
That is Thomas in drag.
Yeah.
Thomas in drag, wearing a red dress and a boa, just knocked you out. And we're seeing a little vision here of Diane singing a song on stage, but then it pans over to Thomas dancing to the song. It's very creepy. Okay, so Thomas is a problem now. All right, so up to this point, you could like make an argument that these red room sequences, the red world sequences, they're kind of like a possession of York. Like you're traversing the world, but you're seeing like these zombies everywhere and everything covered in vines. It's like the upside down, but you'll come out of it at the end of the maze. Like you needed to go through that area anyway. So you could say like these red world visions aren't real or aren't actually happening, and he doesn't seem to make a point to tell anyone else about them. Like, hey, I killed zombies earlier, like because it seems like he doesn't believe they're actually happening. So York is knocked out, and Emily gets the clue to go to the clock tower by following around Willie's dog. And you actually, Tom, you control Emily in this sequence. So you follow Willie all the way to the clock tower. I know, points.
George, we found out where York is.
And she has what you would absolutely expect a character to have for the first time they encounter a zombie, right?
A flashlight?
Well, just hesitancy in shooting it, and then absolute shock that it doesn't die when you shoot it. And she's super freaked out. So it seems like these red world sequences are real now? I don't know. Anyway, she makes her way all the way up to Thomas. Thomas has a gun pointed at Emily.
You've got nowhere to run now. Just surrender yourself.
Emily, I've been waiting for you. Quite the handsome one, isn't he?
Then ensues a boss fight. Emily's trying to make peace, like, we can leave together. And he's upset that Emily ever came at all.
I'm just glad, this game doesn't reinforce stereotypes about people who are drag queens and or transsexuals.
Yes, takes a very progressive view.
Yeah, that would be...
Right, so this boss fight is actually pretty interesting. As far as the mechanics of it, he's like spinning around on turntables as you're dodging some hooks.
Seems very disorienting for
him. It is, yeah. For him more than you, yeah. So you've shot him enough times, apparently, that it's gone to a cutscene.
Don't make me shoot you again.
I know I've already shot you 32 times. That's your health bar.
I hate you so much.
No, he's not done yet. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Willie, the dog, is jumping in there.
No.
Be careful, dog. Oh, be careful, dog.
What'd I say?
No.
I will give a warning at this moment. This is one of the more graphic deaths I've ever seen in a video game. So you do you. I'll let you know when it's over. But it's not. It stabbed him, but it's not over yet. It's the knife stabbed him.
The dog's fine, Victor. You're okay. The dog's fine.
Yeah. You make eye contact with him, and the gear.
It's just like Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh.
Yeah, he gets hooked. We'll leave it at that. I don't know why there's so many of those in the clock tower.
Yeah, well, that's how. How do you think they get all the big gears going up?
So we're just gonna watch for one more second here. Kaysen walks in with one of the more bizarre reactions.
Wearing a dress, like as if he his face is impaled on a hook, and he's wearing a dress, and he's able to be like, "Is that Thomas?"
Yeah, no. Kaysen walks in and says, "Is that Thomas? Oh, strung up like a turkey." Emily has released York, and you're having a conversation now.
Emily, are you out of your mind? Thomas was certainly neck deep in this.
Is that a pun on his demise? Also, I'm going to say they do have a flashlight on the pistol. Just point that out. A lot of games don't do that.
It's true, yeah. Good call.
little
These are
details.
basic facts that for sure you haven't
So he's saying that Thomas had great alibis, though, so he couldn't have committed the murders.
I need you to be strong, Emily.
He has an idea of who it is.
Thomas is not the killer. Then there is only one other.
I mean, he had alibis.
One
I don't know
other-
if they were great alibis.
It's the one with free access to department files.
It was
George
George.
have an alibi at the time of the killings.
But he doesn't have the scar.
That's why he cut up his back.
Love G himself. Okay, so we're going to cut to where
He
you think
scarred up his back
George
to hide the
is.
tattoo.
You're trying to follow George. Instead, you find Carol, like one of the
think you're
seemingly
right,
one of the other women in the town. She's standing there, and she collapses. You find her in the middle of the museum.
Carol.
She belongs in a museum.
She's in her death throes here. George did this to you. This scene is also a little intense, though not graphic. She's like painting something out with blood.
Is it?
She's like writing a book in her blood on the ground.
Wow, the whole Da
He's
Vinci
like,
Code.
Must decide it.
George loves,
Carol?
and then she seemingly is able to like snap out of it and say you, and
What?
she shoves a bunch of red seeds in Emily's mouth.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's weird, and then she vomits a bunch of stuff, and then Emily passes out, and you're like, Kaysen, quick, get Emily to the hospital. She needs a stomach pumping. And she's like, Kaysen's like, you should come too. Kaysen Forrest, the sapling dealer. He's like, no,
He's totally not a part of it.
I've got to take
got
care
no
of
idea.
George. So you go to the sheriff's office. There's the red coat rain killer summoning you in. Red World. The music comes in. You're lighting up a cigarette. It's like seeming like you're avenging like all these murders, right?
So, Zach, I'm thinking of asking Emily out for dinner once this is all over. Nothing too
This guy's so fucking mentally ill.
We can relax. You know what?
That is an understatement. Frank.
All right, so you make your way through the sheriff's office and you find George, and this is George's reveal.
I'm
Still
you.
smoking.
From the future.
Take off the raincoat, and here he is in his like, I don't want a sex jacket. It's a picture you've seen before. It exposes
But I thought
his back with all the
we
scars.
saw his back.
But there were so many scars that hid the fact that one of the scars was like a pronounced tree. I don't know why. Don't ask questions, Tom. Shut it, York. He's gonna power up. He's interested in becoming divine. He's talking about the feeling of power.
Talking about hunting.
Uh-huh. Anyway, he has seeds. The power of acacia seeds. He's gonna pour all these red seeds in his mouth real quick. Yep, he's dumping them into his
Way
mouth.
too many to eat.
Yeah, it's unreasonable. You wouldn't eat that many pumpkin seeds. Also
Well,
missing
don't
his
worry.
mouth quite a bit.
90% of them aren't making it in.
Okay, and he is going full Hulk here.
Oh, my
What
god.
the fuck?
He's actually, his body is transforming somewhat, and he's getting bigger. But you've got a gun, so
You
Yeah.
dumbass. I have a gun.
you beat that phase of him. And he goes into unlimited power mode. And believe it or not, he gets even more transformed and turns into like what I can only describe as Blanca from Street Fighter with white hair.
Oh my god, that is Blanca.
With an imagination like that, you belong in the zoo. Hollywood Zoo.
An imagination.
You know, the Hollywood Zoo was founded in
You beat George, and he's like, how can this be? I'm divine. Here we go. Here's the liner.
You're a first-degree murderer. And I'm a federal agent.
Oh.
I just,
No, that was the line. That was the catch line. You guys didn't like it.
That's the line. Pretty straightforward.
you're a murderer. I'm an FBI agent.
And then you just sort of collapse, and you go through this dream sequence where this little kid talks to all these people.
Oh, and you plays another.
But you're talking to all the dead people who just mostly laugh at you and talk about how everything's going to be okay, even to Thomas and your father, who has a shaded face, and your mother, who has a shaded face. You wake up in a hospital. You talk to Usha. You ask, like, well, how's Emily doing? And he's like, wait, he hasn't brought Emily in? Like, what do you mean he hasn't brought Emily in? So You thought this game was over, didn't you? You go to George's house because you
God
thought...
damn it, Chris.
You go to George's house because he left you a message saying, go to George's house. So you go there and you find exactly what you would expect, like the most typical tropey stalker room possible. There's wires going everywhere. There's Polaroid pictures. There's scrawling on the wall. This is George's house. Turns out George was obsessed with Emily. The deputy
George the
sheriff.
cop you just
George
killed.
the sheriff that you just killed was absolutely obsessed with Emily. Yeah.
It looks like George really had a thing for Emily.
Okay, but what?
Sapling guy.
Why do we care?
So, on your way out of the house, you find this room here. Body in a lounge chair, and it has
Mother.
trees growing out of it. Yeah, no, that's George's mom. Has twigs growing out of her, and she's like
The mother is always a bad experience after killing the son.
That line of dialogue, meeting the mother is always difficult experience after killing the son. This is something he's been through a lot of times, apparently.
Yeah, what the...
And realizes finally that it wasn't a reverse peace mark symbol that I was seeing this whole game. It was a tree. So it all has to do with the trees, which is like kind of what we knew.
Idiot.
Yeah.
It just looks nothing like a peace mark.
You find a message left for you by Kaysen that says, come to the theater. You have a quick little thing here where you actually play as the Raincoat Killer. It's just like a flashback thing. It doesn't matter. You make your way to You make your way to the theater. I'm actually not going to show the footage here because it actually gets a lot darker and not funny. Just really fucking dark.
Oh, what are you
no,
doing?
No. Trust me. I'm not.
No, you play it right now.
I'm not going to do it on
Let me
stream.
see the blood.
Theater. Kaysen is there with Emily. Emily's got a tree growing out of her, and Emily wants you to kill her. Kaysen's laughing maniacally, and you have a flashback that gets triggered. You remember that as a kid, you witnessed your mom with a tree growing out of her, and Kaysen was there, laughing maniacally. And your mom wanted your dad to shoot her and put her out of her misery, and your dad couldn't bring himself to it. The tree,
So you did it?
Emily was right. He had a reason, everyone.
Well, the tree explosively blooms out of your mom, and she shrivels into a corpse, and your dad kills himself. And then Kaysen hits the kid, and you get a subconscious interaction where you put together that York is a personality that you made up. You're not York, you're Zach. But Zach went through some shit, so he became York. So you come back, and here's what it looks like when you come back.
I literally
This
said
is
that.
now. This is what you look like. This is what you've looked like all along.
I traded.
So when you introduce yourself as York, apparently, that's not true. You're an unreliable narrator.
Me. My other personality.
The scar on your face, like Tom, you mentioned earlier, that everyone's calling you the scar on your face is the talk of the town. Well, the scar on Zach's face is actually much more prominent than York's face. So from this point on, you actually get the option to shoot Kaysen, Emily, or yourself. Fucking dark. There's an ending for each one, which you could stop playing at any time. But for the most complete and extended ending, you've got to choose to shoot Emily, which again seems very fucking dark, and it is.
What?
But what happens is
why wouldn't it be Kaysen?
It doesn't work. So you have to choose to shoot her, and you saw what happens to your own mom and to George, apparently. So that's what you choose to do, and you repeat the mantra that several people, and including yourself, have said throughout this game, is that sometimes there are evils in this world that need to be purged, even if we love them. But so you try and do it, and your character can't bring himself to do it. Well, she removes the tree from herself, and it is totally grosso, but she definitely dies from doing that. And there's a little sequence here of not her dying, but of Emily arriving into... you see a vision of Emily arriving with the other goddesses or something, and she's there with the former version of you, York, the personality that you created. So York gets to spend eternity with Emily, and your scarred ass is left on this hellhole to deal with Kaysen and stuff. He starts to transform, and it's way weirder than George's transformation.
Oh, wow. He looks like Dr. Robotnik.
He does.
Or, the clown, John Leguizamo's character from Spawn.
Yeah. So he's going to do a whole orangutan bit, hanging from the rafters, swinging around while you shoot at him.
The opposite of what I sense someone as his portly size would be doing.
Yeah, he's got long, stretchy arms. Yeah, I'll give it to him at this point. The level design, interesting. Boss fights, much better than the beginning of the game. This keeps going.
God.
It keeps getting more freaky, and you're running away from a giant crawling guy. He's crawling along the walls. Yeah, there he is with his backward wrists crawling on the walls with his giant enlarged face, and it's creepy. Some more fight here. You're on top of some sort of tower. You dodge underneath him. Invulnerability frame roll, and he goes diving off the side of a tower. Okay, there's a giant Kaysen now.
He looks a lot more normal giant.
Kaysen does. Yeah, he's like 5 stories tall, looks of it, and you're fighting a giant now. So this fight goes on, and again, like the level boss design of this is like, for a God of War game, it's fine. Like, apparently he's got this trinket that holds all of his power. You can't damage him by shooting him anymore. You have to shoot his little trinket, which is a little like Funko Pop of himself that he's holding in his hand, and you shoot
put
it
in his back pocket.
Well, funny you say that, Tom. You shoot it enough, and he turns around and he stuffs it in his pocket. And honestly, I think this is pretty cool. Like, you wouldn't expect this from this game. He slams his fist down, and you climb up on his fist. You go on his shoulder. You have to look over his shoulder down to where he hit it, and then you shoot it, which is neat. Then he dies. A giant skull eyeball thing pops out of his mouth, and he's like, "Why can you do this? How is this possible?"
Understand humans.
What?
He shoots one more bullet at Kaysen. It hits the eye, and he, wait for it, turns around and walks away as it explodes. You have what feels like an inappropriate conversation with dead Emily about how you hope she's happy with York. Harry reveals that his last name is actually Woodman.
Yeah.
He was George's dad, George the sheriff. Harry's father was the original Raincoat Killer, and the grandson, George, was the new Raincoat Killer, seemingly. Anyway, on your way out of town, you see a vision of Emily dressed in a red dress in the forest. You go to see her, and everyone's there, including the twin kids who, like, never died. They're alive anyway. And they can all see the goddesses of the forest, so they're happily ever after, along with York. And York's like, you got more life to live. One more final thing.
In your mind.
In your mind, because he never really existed. One more final thing on the plot. So I mentioned earlier how there was an old man narrating the story to a little girl. Haven't seen that in a while. This like framing, that's like the bookends, the Princess Diaries kind of framing that's done on this story. That's actually Princess Bride, I'm sorry, not Princess Diaries. Different movie, still good, but Princess Bride. That framing was actually added in the director's cut version of this. So the director's cut.
What did that add?
Story.
Absolutely. Was that the part where it was like, you know what? It didn't feel like this really got tied together.
It absolutely complicates the original, and it's a lot on your first playthrough. So the bookend that you do get, though, is that it's an elderly Zach talking to his granddaughter. So Zach did like go on to live a happy life with a wife and sprawling family in the end of the game, but elderly Zach at the end enters like a parallel plane of existence, like the White Room kind of thing, where he's greeted by all the inhabitants, and York reassures him that he was there every step of the way and tells him about a new case involving an illness in New Orleans, which I don't understand how he could go on because he's such an old man, but it actually references the sequel to this game, which came out on the Switch just like 2 years ago. There's a Deadly Premonition 2.
My gosh.
Yeah. So anyway, there is one final clip of him leaving Greendale. Here you go. Here's him like walking out of Greendale. He doesn't have a car for some reason, so he smokes one last cigarette and he walks away. But what's the last frame of this game? It's Willie the dog. In his mouth is that Funko Pop figure of Kaysen.
Oh no, maybe?
Exactly. So apparently Swery has said in like some of his notes or in questions elsewhere that Willie the Dalmatian dog is actually an entity from the Red World all along, and he was Kaysen's handler. So Willie the Dalmatian dog is actually the main bad guy antagonist in this game. I don't fucking know.
I was kind of right about the dog.
Anyway, so wow. That's the plot to Deadly Premonition, guys. I need a minute. A couple more retrospective notes on this game. It was released on the PlayStation 3 with the PS3 Move controllers. You remember that? That would have been fun.
Can you imagine if you did this first, like the first podcast? You're like, man, it'll be fun. I do like garbage games. Like we'd be on the first time and just be like, I don't know, man.
Never again.
There were a lot of tropes listed on tvtropes.com from this game. I'll mention a couple of my favorite ones real quick. It just goes into showing of like the level of planning that this game had, whether it came out good or not. The name of the characters in this game represent every letter of the alphabet starting with Anna. and she causes the arrival of Y and Z, which is York and Zack, and everyone in between is a suspect. Cue roll your eyes. This is very apparent when the credits list for this game. Also, all the core characters are between letter A and H, with one exception, Fiona. And the Ingram family, which is Isaac and Isaiah are the only ones to share a letter of the alphabet, but they're twins. But the rest of the members of the family are Jim, Keith, and Lily. So they're all grouped together in a part of the alphabet. All characters between letter A and G, with that exception of Fiona, die. Thomas is the only outlier who dies. So, a couple more tropes. Yeah.
Pretty sure that the guy who made this game is the actual Zodiac killer that was never caught. Because I'll save it, but I'm just going to throw that out there.
Mm-hmm. I think we're all feeling pretty disturbed. Yeah. Okay, so we mentioned some Twin Peaks references earlier, and they do have a list of similarities. The town of Greenvale in this game used to be a lumber town in the Washington area, which is very similar to the town of Twin Peaks. York comes from a big city FBI agent in a small town in Twin Peaks. That's Dale Cooper. Dale Cooper, the coffee-loving, quirky, eccentric genius, is always talking to an unseen character, Diane, in the show Twin Peaks. And York, in this game, there's also a Diane in the game. The murder victim in this game the first victim is Anna Graham. It could be a reference to Twin Peaks character Annie, who the actress is played by Heather Graham. And in Twin Peaks, there's also a red room that's a supernatural location that the protagonist can use. So something to keep in mind as we go into reviews. This was released as a budget game, same as Secret Service that we played before. To me, that normally means like a $40 game for the 360. I've seen some people say $25 and even $20. Which would surprise me for a new 360 game, but just something to keep in mind. Let's talk about what the critics had to say about this. The Metacritic score for this game, which is an aggregate of critic scores 0 to 100. What do you guys think this has? Frank, we haven't heard from you in a while, making sure you're awake. What do you think, Frank?
So it was released as a budget game?
Yes, it was released as a budget game in 2010.
All right, I'm going to say that's going to help it quite a bit. Also, it's like what? You said 40-something hours? I don't know. Okay. Oh, but this score is based off the one where you could not control the camera, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like that's going to hurt it.
Okay.
So, oh man, but the budget helps. I'm going to say 68.
Wow.
68 high, for Tom or Frank. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 55.
I'm gonna go low. I'm gonna go 14.
Fair. 14. He really did not enjoy this game.
I did not. That's even being generous.
I am borderline suspicious about this. Frank, the Xbox 360 score is a 68.
Oh my god.
I mean, what am I supposed to do? Not give Frank points for that? I'll give
right
Frank 5 more points for that.
Money, boy.
You're still below my 86 points for the record. For the PC, it received a 59, 70 on Switch, which this game was released on the Switch as well, and a 70 for the PS3. So all in the same ballpark, though. This game holds the title for the most critically polarizing survival horror game, which is definitely a made-up title by Guinness, but that's what Guinness does. You want to draw someone to a weird occurrence, you make up a title for it. So yeah, this game's ratings is split between some 2s and some higher scores. I'm going to start this off by sending this to...
There is absolutely nothing in this industry that can compare
faster though, old Zach.
Weird and wonderful the whole experience is. Judged as a piece of entertainment, a game that consistently surprises and amazes and leaves jaws hanging. I have no choice but to say Deadly Premonition goes above and beyond. This game is so bad. It's just not become good. It's pretty close to perfect.
So that review was Jim Sterling, who's someone we've actually mentioned before. He's a pretty popular reviewer while he was at Destructoid and now runs a review and stuff called Jimquisition. He's a pretty well-known YouTube video game personality. Yeah, he gave it 100 out of 100 at Destructoid.
What?
Victor, you got the next one there.
Spazio Games, who gave it an 84 out of 100. This means it's good, right? These are good scores?
Yeah, these are good
Not
scores.
reading this wrong? Okay. Forget the Dreamcast era graphics and some clumsy mechanics, if you can, and lose yourself in this sick and perverse thriller. You will never forget it. I never want to meet you in person, Spazio Games.
Frank, what you got there?
Got problems.
This is from official Xbox Mag, and they gave it a 75 out of 100. Its production values are unquestionably budget, but the game's ambition level of corny self-awareness makes it a stupid, affordable, must-have cult title for the adventurous set.
Yeah, and finally, IGN gave it a 20 out of 100, saying, awful in nearly every way. This Twin Peaks meets Resident Evil with a dash of Grand Theft Auto formula sounds pretty great, but it was well beyond the capabilities of this development team. Terrible controls, terrible pacing, terrible sound effects, terrible visuals. Yeah, so those are our critic reviews. The divisiveness really is like the big story about this game, and its reviews at least. It was met originally with very bad reviews, and it kind of started sinking its teeth into people, and perhaps most helpfully with Jim Sterling's reviews, it started to gain a cult following. Swery, the developer, thinks it had a lot to do with social media. Twitter was just taking off when this game was getting reviewed, and his own presence on Twitter helped buoy the game. Giant Bomb, the review website, had a series called Endurance Run that was pretty popular at the time. It was like a complete playthrough that they would stream. And the second game that they ever did on it was Deadly Premonition, because they heard of how quirky and strangely endearing it was. It was a popular series for them, and it led more people to buying this game. And Swery talks quite openly about how people criticize aspects of the game, and even Giant Bomb, while they're doing the playthrough that he supported, and even visited their studios after they're done with. He understands how people like criticize like the shooting and how like that wasn't good, and like they weren't combat focused, so that's fine. But he's glad people have seen like the heart that they put into this game. So anyway, let's move on to some user scores. The user score this game has an 8.3 for Xbox 360.
Holy shit.
And a 7.3.
This is from Anonymity on Metacritic. Deadly Premonition started off as a funny B-rated movie and then slowly became one of the best games I've ever played. Fuck. At first it seemed like a cheesy story that didn't take itself too seriously and devolved into a masterpiece, in my opinion. I can't read this shit. This underrated game is a benchmark in video game character development and storytelling. Are you fucking joking? Great characters, great stories, nostalgic gameplay, and some laugh out loud comedy.
Whoa.
If you have the patience, spelled patience, which he spelled it in this way right because he's like in a fucking insane asylum, to play old PS2 era games, you will love this game. I loathe that person.
Victor, what you got there?
From Robin K on Metacritic, a 10. So terrible, it's amazing. It's like Shenmue. Am I saying
Shenmue,
that right? Shenmue dragged Twin Peaks into the alleyway to shake it down for its lunch money, and most of the subtler touches make me think it's an entirely intentional, darkly comedic lampooning of the genre. As someone who vastly enjoys survival horror, this was completely worth the money. A 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
So this is from HMS-D/00 on Steam. Love this game so much, I bought copies for the Xbox 360, PS3, Xbox One, and PC. If you're a fan of the TV series Twin Peaks or the game series Silent Hill, then you'll definitely feel familiar with this game's elements. Swirly65 did a great job with this title. Now, I won't lie, it does feel like a polished turd in terms of the controls and graphics, but it is such a lovely polished turd with all its little flaws and quirks it has going for it, and its real-time system is pretty in-depth. Grab this game if you're looking for something with either a David Lynch or Franz Kafka feel. Recommended.
Yeah, and one more review from Steam from Gillen Spiter. They say, the zombies sound like turtles having sex. Recommended. I will point out that
Kafka. That comment. That comment.
You
saying
reference
it's like,
Kafka.
oh, this is a Kafka-esque story. Fuck
No.
you. Fuck you.
This game does hold a mixed review on Steam, although to be honest, it would be a lot higher. Oops, sorry. It would be a lot higher if it didn't have compatibility issues. I'm glad Frank didn't have them tonight, but for a long time there were issues with launching this game at all. So they do seem to have been ironed out, but that is what most of the reviews are. If it weren't for that, this game would have a positive review on Steam. So as we move over to the scoreboard section, let's give this game a Garbage Valley score. We score things from -10 to +10. 0's at the middle of the parabola. That's the lowest point. This is a 0. No enjoyment. Don't want to be there. A +10's where what you'd expect. It's an excellent game. It's because you enjoyed it. But a -10, that's a terrible game because it's bad, but you did enjoy it. So what do you guys think? How much did you enjoy it? So what would the number be? And then are you enjoying it because it's bad, because it's so negative, or good? Is it positive? So I'll kick it off with some topics, I guess. I'm going to say it's bad. It's very unique. It's not in my taste overall. Some of it I think is an extremely poor taste, but the characters are very weird and memorable, and I appreciated the commitment to following it through, Like, it's a long game. Like, it's a lot of dialogue for this. Like, if I were working on a project and it was going very poorly, like I stepped back and I looked at it and I'm like, wow, this is going really poorly. And I got some people's feedback and it was like, wow, this is really terrible. I wouldn't spend a couple more 100 hours on it and like make a 41-hour game out of it. I would course correct or give up. But this game in 2010 saw it where it was going and they just kept plowing forward. So
who wants to jump in first? Because I could say some things.
Go for it, Victor.
Okay, this is one of the worst things I've experienced. I can't even it's like, no, I think it's fair. This is the problem, because I'm like, I want to give it credit for things. I want to be fair, like you were saying in the beginning, but it slopes so far down so quickly and overall where you're like, this is just torment. It's like you start to go insane and try to give it credit for things when you should really just call it out for what it is, which is terrible. Some things are just terrible and should not be, and this is one of those things. When it says it has a cult following, legitimately I think it's like a cult. Like this is like evil stuff, and it's just awful.
So the reason I included that diner scene where he tries the sandwich, like the people who like love this game, and there's a wikia devoted to this game with all the characters and like their schedules and stuff. Like, people love this game, and
I'm sure.
Like, I mean, they point to that scene as like that's their like the room scene, like Tommy Wiseau's The Room, like that's the level of writing that you're getting in here, and it's like, I don't know what it intends to be, but I'm going to appreciate it for what it is. And like they point to that scene as one of the best scenes in the game for its quirkiness.
No, it's, you all need Jesus. It's one of those things where it's like there's no excusing this kind of thing. Like, I wish I hadn't seen it. Like, I wish I hadn't experienced this. If I had known, I would have respectfully bowed out. But here we are.
But you didn't, and you trusted me, and I've betrayed that friendship points, and we can't get that back.
It's one of those things, like, I respect you for the amount of time you put into it and research, and like that's a good quality that you have. Like, it's very, you are dedicated. I'm also horrified for you on the amount of time that you had to put in for it. And I say this with levity, but it is I think it's a terrible, terrible game.
Frank,
so
who had your hands on the controls, what did you think?
It wasn't the worst feeling game we've ever played.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Okay.
I mean, I'm so torn.
Be your own man, Frank.
You can fish, But do you actually ever catch fish?
The dog, he doesn't die.
The dog doesn't die. The dog actually might be
the cause of all this.
Boss. Yeah, the dog could be death incarnate. Don't know.
So
now it's kind of confusing why the dog fought Thomas.
So yeah, we kind of glazed over this, and I can speculate if you guys really want me to. Okay.
I mean, go
so
deep.
Kazan seems to like come into town, and he's the one who propagates the rumors about the seeds. So while he didn't have any direct involvement in the murders, it's because whether he put the idea in George's head or like he's planting seeds. He's trying to plant more of these red trees, which apparently come from a different world, which are like evil and shit. But George is murdering people, trying to gain power and immortality by following these documents, by murdering these people. So yeah, Kazin plays a role in it. But if we were to believe that the dog is his handler, then the dog got involved because he didn't want Thomas to kill Emily. Emily needed to have the seed tree growing out of her, and that was part of Kazin's plan. So that's Kazin/Willie's plan. So that's why they saved Emily. That's why the dog attacked Thomas. Does that make anything more clear?
Yeah, now that you said that, everything's pretty
on the level
clear.
now.
Yeah, now actually the whole thing makes sense when you put it like that. I wasn't really, I didn't consider those factors.
Sure.
If you like real stupid shit and you want a game that will kill time, oh my God. This is the game for you, baby. You can kill some time with this one. You can do all kinds of stupid shit. I'm going crazy. I'm going wild. I was going to give it a -5, but you know what? The fishing and not catch it, and then you just it's a picture of Emily's face, and that's the fail.
Right.
You're like, what? I don't understand.
Mad at you, yeah.
Yeah. Like what? What the fuck is this? And also, you know what? I gotta take some points off though for
Frank, are you pretending to be the game right now?
Destructive stereotypes. Listen, Tom, I've suffered. All right, I had to play.
It's like you've become
an hour
it,
of this
though.
trash.
Like it's
yeah. I have
Some
brainworms now.
stuff here.
Right? The tree is growing in me. We are the tree.
Get to the fucking point.
Okay. But I'm gonna take off some points for harmful stereotypes about drag and or trans people.
Sure.
So you know what? I'm gonna say -6. I was gonna go -7. I'm going -6.
Wow. Okay.
-6.
Tom, how about
Is
you?
that good or bad?
Well, -6 is saying that he enjoyed it because it was bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
draw it out.
Listen, this
You
game
wanna draw
wants
it
me
out?
to rant. I'm not gonna get into a long meandering rant. I agree with Victor 100%.
Okay.
And I think I just hate the idea of like looking for the gems, the secret gem. I think that's all
What did
bullshit.
they mean?
Like,
yeah.
Like for me, and I really, it's gonna sound like I'm trying to be funny. The dialogue in this game feels punitive. Like you go into a room to like do whatever the plot is, why you're there, and you get sidetracked about the most, like in real life, if you and I were working and we were to be like, hey man, let's get this done. Let's start working. And I started bullshitting to the degree that they bullshit. You would call me out. You'd call me out right off the bat. You'd be like, hey, seriously though, like we got fucking.
This is a murder case, and the murderer's on the loose.
And it happens to a degree, and like
with whistling soundtrack in the background.
Yeah, and like right, and here's what I would say. If you could point to every single one of those dialogue moments and somehow legitimately, not bullshit, legitimately be like, here is what the deeper meaning is there. This is what they're getting at. And it was like fucking legit, and I'm just too fucking stupid, and it just right over my head, then you know what? Bravo. But
yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think these incredibly mundane conversations had a level of depth that just shot over all of our heads. It's a fucking 0. I hate this game, and I hate the people that love this game. If I could give it a worse score than 0, I would give it a worse score.
Amen.
Some unknown integer somewhere below 0.
Amen.
Wow.
That's why that's why I mentioned the Zodiac thing though, because it's like the level of detail that went into this, but it's like psychotic detail.
Yeah, so
it's stuff
like,
where it's like, this is crazy.
Like Tom
you
was
are
saying,
possessed or something.
there apparently is. Tom was saying about the developer, like there's a level of care that has been taken. Kind of. Let me put a pin in it. There's a level of care that's been taken with the plot that seems like there's been a ton of foreshadowing throughout the entire plot. Like looking back at some of these things, watching the cutscenes again with you guys, like, well, yeah, obviously. I mean, the guy had FK in his coffee mug at the beginning, and you met a guy named Forrest Kazin. So I mean, it told you who was responsible for it, and there's tons of other like little signs about who's responsible for what and why this person was there. There was a scene where like two people in red dresses were comforting each other, and one of them was Thomas in the red dress, and it didn't show his face. He was in drag in that scene. So it's like, I mean, like looking back at the plot, it's like, oh yeah, okay, I guess like the plot that he made all came together. But also taking the pin out, like some of the things that happen in the end like don't make any fucking sense with how people were acting at the beginning of it. It's almost like they wrote the plot and then like needed a twist. So like, well, I guess this character could have been this. So like completely write the motivations of the character that don't make a whole lot of sense of why they would have behaved a certain way. Okay, with all that being said, for me, someone who looks for bad games, and this is one with the most divisive score, and there's people that follow this game with a cult-like following and who loved the second version of the game too, even though it was just chock full of flaws also, and also very quirky, I guess. I think there's enough weird stuff about this game that I could enjoy it, and I didn't have to play a lot of it. I didn't watch too much more of the cutscenes than you guys, so I didn't have to suffer that much. But yeah, for someone like me hunting for these bad games, like I've got to appreciate it a little bit more, I guess. I'm a masochist in this case. Yeah, so I'll go a little bit higher, but not as high as Frank. Frank, you all right, Frank?
Doesn't understand the score system. He never has.
I'll go -3. Yeah, so I'll go -3. So yeah, there it is. So our scores are -6 for Frank, 0 for Tom and Victor, and -3 for me. What you got?
Real fast. Do the zombies? Is there an explanation to the zombies? Are there zombies, or is that in your head? Because Emily fights the zombies too, right? So like, are there zombies?
Anyway, we've got to give this prize out to someone.
Real quick. So
it is not known, Tom. It is not known. So, despite the fact that, in conclusion, I have 86 points on the board, I will be generous and give it to the next runner-up, the person who was able to persevere and play our hero York/Zach tonight. Frank with 18 points on the board. Congratulations. You now own a double input cigarette device.
Twist.
There you go.
If you don't remember, we each wagered an obscene amount of points at the beginning of the game.
It was an obscene amount of points that you wagered the points that you had at the time. At least that's how I construed it.
I wagered 0.5, but Victor wagered all of Frank's points at the time.
No, wait.
The points you had at the time still
points,
wouldn't have made a difference. I looked at the scores.
I wagered all of Victor's points.
Frank has a commanding lead, and he enjoyed this game, so I want to give him something he can remember this game by.
I'm kidding.
Please let him have it. I don't want that token.
Why?
I'm just kidding.
There's something evil in that token. I don't want that in my house.
Oh yeah, no, I don't.
Sometimes we have to purge evil things from this world, and this token is that thing.
Even
That's
if
the
we
perfect
love them.
sign off.
Even if we love them.
And I love you, but I hate you for that sign off. That's a good sign off.
It's a good sign off. Speaking of which, honestly, okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to pause the video for a second here. So I may do the sign off for the video here. I was actually going to record something a little bit separate, but since you guys hate this game so much and feel like piling on, I will be welcome to your own points in this as well. I was all on board doing this game and had gotten so deep with doing like the research for this game, I wasn't going to stop doing it. And then something happened in this game, a thing that they chose to include that if I were to address it outright, I feel like would change the tone of the podcast so much that I was uncomfortable with it. So I was just going to add an addendum to the end of it. They did something that I think is like beyond fucked up and incomprehensible to me. The scene that I didn't show you with Emily, she's on stage in the theater and you walk in there and Kaysen's delivering a line of dialogue that seems pretty awkward, that like he's a monster, but he says something about licking, and then he says that George was right, you can get power from these seeds, but it's all about the technique of introducing the seeds. And then it's revealed that she has her top on that's open and she's in her underwear, and the tree is coming out of her womb apparently. So it's very much implied rape at that point, and what you walk in on is the aftermath of right after what would be a rape sequence. And this is like going back and forth from like these wacky jazz horns playing. And like I was all 100% on board with taking this game like in stride with like murder and stuff. It's things that they play out on TV all the time. But to me, that crossed such a line that like the game, it does not have the grounding and I think games are capable of like tackling anything that books and movies are capable of doing for conveying story and emotion. But this game does not have the feet for that. This game is completely fucking absurd. And that you would introduce something like that in this game, I think is just really gross. And so... yeah, I didn't want to turn the feeling of the entire podcast, but I hope we're all in agreement that like that's really fucking gross, and it gave me the chills, and I was uncomfortable with doing that, and I was just definitely going to add in a note about don't buy this game.
I wouldn't change anything that you said. I think I really have nothing to add to that. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. The game, you paused on this thing with the pot lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the tone of
wackiness
this game,
anime feel of like, look at these wacky anime characters in this town. Yeah.
And
yeah, so don't buy this game. That's my addendum to this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I could give it a lower score than 0.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So my score -3. That's with not addressing that part of it, but for the sake of the podcast, I was gonna address. So yeah. That's this fun game, Deadly Premonition, the most divisively scored game. So when someone gives this game a 10 or thinks of it as a cult classic, like, oof, I don't know, buddy. I don't know.
Clips in this podcast were used in compliance with the U.S. Copyright Fair Use Exemption for criticism and commentary. Garbage Game Night makes no claims to ownership over any games played and has no affiliation with any developer or publishing company. For additional references on cited articles and quotes, check our episode-related blog at garbagegamenight.com. Or if you have a comment about the game we reviewed or have a suggestion, drop us a line.